What's up? It's me, Nick Scarpino, the producer/seducer. You know what I'm going to be June 3rd? San Francisco, California for Kinda Funny Live 3. That's right, kindafunny.com/KFL3 to get your tickets, son. Be cool or be square.
So Mother's Day is like this weekend. If you're listening on Patreon, it's next weekend. But if you're not, dude, it's this weekend. Luckily, this episode of the Gamescast is brought to you by Sherry's Berries. Now, if you don't know Sherry's Berries, some of our friends, namely Andy and Kevin, they know Sherry's Berries really well. You should have seen Kevin take these things down. I'd say it was impressive, but it was more scary. But you can, gift these to your mother and see what she does with them. All you got to do is go to berries.com and use the code KFGames. That's BERRIES.com and use the code KFGames. Okay? Now let me tell you a little bit about these things, right? They're strawberries dipped in chocolate. You might think, oh, I've had that before. Not like this. Sherry, I don't know what her special technique is, but she is nailing it. There's a special deal now. Starting at just $19.99, you can get huge, freshly dipped strawberries plus shipping. And right now, you can double the berries for just $10 more. And guess what, Kevin? Guess what?
What?
The deal's even sweeter because it's Mother's Day. For just $10 more, you double the berries and you get free cake truffles too. I don't know what those are, but does that excite you as much as it excites me?
It really does.
I'm sure that it does. You know what? You've won me over. Now I'm just impressed. You guys did good. You did good. Everybody, go. Berries.com. BERRIES.com. Use the code KFGames. You just got to click on that mic, and you can make that thing happen. This amazing deal won't last long, and Mother's Day is coming soon. Don't disappoint her this year like you do every other year. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 119 of the Kinda Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Geddes, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Hey!
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 And for the first time ever, joining us, Will Smith.
Hi.
Hello, Will Smith.
Did you guys know which Will Smith I was?
Let's just get it out of the way.
Did you
How
know?
hard is your life, being Will Smith, but not being that Will Smith?
Look, I'm a middle-aged white guy. My life is pretty easy
but
most of the
you
time.
got the Twitter account, so you won the battle.
Look, I got the Twitter, all of the accounts. I have all of the accounts.
You were just
except for
at Will
Snapchat,
Smith.
because who needs Snapchat?
Yeah.
We're too old for that.
I'm way too old for Snapchat.
Exactly.
It's basically when I go to a hotel and check in, I can tell how old I am, how old the person behind the counter is by the joke that they make. So if they hit me with getting jiggy with it, that means they were in probably middle school in 1999, and that means that now they're 17 years plus 1990. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It's a lot of Scientology jokes, a lot of Jaden. People on Twitter get really pissed off at Jaden Smith.
Oh yeah,
unbelievably
and you
pissed.
will never hear the end of it.
And it's always just get your son, man.
They're just talking about how shitty of a dad you are, and you're just like,
man, I don't have a son. Leave me alone.
Your daughter?
Just daughter.
So how old is she now?
She's 4.
4. Oh my God.
She's 4. She's like a small human being.
I used a picture of you to promote this.
Yeah.
And she was a lot smaller than that.
She
was just in your arm.
Oh, I thought you were in the hand. I was like, damn, this is a small kid.
They teach you to do that. They teach you, when you go to the parenting classes, you'll find this out soon.
One day
when you're
No,
when your
not
time
soon,
comes.
everybody. There's not embargoed information. One day.
One day, when the time is right. But no, you go to the class and they're like, okay, you can do the football hold, you can do the bread basket, you can do the head cup with the body strewn out along the arm is one of the recommended ways to do a one-hand baby carry.
The one-hand baby carry.
Nice.
It's crazy to think that at one point all of us fit in someone's arm.
Dude, and now she's like that tall. She runs around. She's riding a 2-wheel bicycle now.
Wow, what a big girl.
Yeah, she's a big girl.
What's up with those bicycles without the...
Oh, the gliders?
Is that what they're called?
So there's two schools. Man, this is a deep topic. But there's two schools of thought. There's that you teach them how to balance with the glider, and then they pedal later. Or you teach them how to pedal with the training wheels, and they learn to balance later.
Oh.
So
because I've been seeing there's a rise in popularity.
Oh, yeah.
of these things. Every time we go out, there's these kids just cruising around. They're like half scooter, half bike. So you're on the seat, but you're just moving your little feet around.
And you skip your feet off the ground. Yeah. We went with the traditional. We went with training wheels.
Okay.
So I don't know what's
Keep it
up
in
with the
class.
gliders.
There's now big boy, like our age, adult male or adult female, little not power wheels. What's not tricycles, but the ones that you pedal on.
The big wheel.
Big wheel, thank you.
Yeah.
There's adult big wheels that come with a beverage holder that is meant for alcohol.
I saw
LaCroix.
an electric adult
Really?
big wheel the other day that the guy said was like 60 miles an hour, which sounds like it would be terrifying.
That sounds
That's
too much.
a little too much.
But I was at this weekend. I was out at Kate O'Brien's down in Soma hanging out, and I was
Okay.
on their little outdoor patio. And this guy and two girls rolled up on those things, and the bartender came out and was shooting the shit with them, and then they rode off. And it was like the most traditional San Francisco conversation of like, oh yeah, he's the CEO of some tech startup, and he just buys those for $100 off Amazon and rides them around the city, and then people steal them, but he has them, and da da da.
Fucking startup people.
Fucking
They're the
kids with
worst.
their goddamn money and
Yeah.
venture capital.
Holy crap.
Now my next question though.
Yes, sir.
Back to the Will Smith topic before
Yeah.
we get too far gone
It's
from
my
talk
favorite
about
thing.
video games. I'm sure you love
I,
it.
it never gets tired.
Was there a
Funny
weird
Gamescast.
moment for you because you're friends with Gary Whitta, friend
Yeah.
of the show here,
Yeah.
the most storied Game Over Greggy show guest, and then
Really?
he's been here the most. We can't get rid of him.
I mean, he is like fungus.
The legend is he might still be here this day.
How many, has he done 3 full episodes?
Yeah.
3 full episodes
Yeah.
of the show.
Where does he? He doesn't have time to hang out with me anymore. But he comes over
It's
here.
been over the course
It
of
is just you are
couple
just around the
years.
corner.
Well, this gives
too.
him an excuse to buy the weird British food and bring it in and make us eat it.
Oh, is that what his-
That'd be-
is that what his thing is?
Yeah, that's his
Okay.
thing. Yeah, he gave us his spotted dick once, and then it just hung out forever, and we never ate it.
Has he
went
made
back.
you eat cockles?
I don't think we've had cockles.
Oh, you
with
should make him bring
no?
cockles next time.
Next time, okay.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Sounds like Gary's getting an invite soon. But was it
yes.
when he did After Earth and stuff?
So-
and like, just, Jesus God.
So there were two moments that were really weird. One is that like Will Smith got famous while I was in high school, and I grew up in a small town in the South.
Okay.
So everybody that I was in high school with, I had known for like 10 years at that point. Nobody made that connection when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on TV, and the guy's name was Will Smith. And I never heard a joke until I went to college.
Gotcha.
And my freshman year in college, I was like, wait, this is going to be a problem. And then it, like his career kind of spiked, and then it kind of waned. And by the end of the 90s, like Wild Wild West completely bombed. And I was like, thank God I'm finally out of this nightmare hellscape. And then Independence Day hit, and I was like, shit. Okay, so here we are.
You weren't
and
getting away from
he
that.
just keeps making the Millennium came out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Gary wrote After Earth, which was one of Will's more recent kind of big budget action movies, and he kept just texting me pictures of him hanging out at Will Smith's place in L.A.
Looks like I got a new Will. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oi, Governor, looks like I got a new Will Smith, don't it?
Oi! Yeah, exactly.
Spot on, spot
so
on.
yeah, that was a weird moment. The weirdest was at Comic-Con that year when they were promoting After Earth. They did a panel like 2 years before the movie came out, and I was there for tested stuff.
Yeah.
And like Gary was like, "Hey, you want to come to my panel? Come to the lobby of the Omni, and you can walk over with us, and we'll take you in the green room." Will Smith wasn't there. It was
Okay.
just
Oh,
all
I
his-
was gonna say. Here we go.
no, it was like his overbooked production team, all
Sure.
that. They were all there. So I met his brother-in-law, who's one of the producers on the film, introduced myself, and the dude just started laughing and fell on the ground. He was laughing, literally rolled on the ground laughing when I
That's a bit
introduced
much.
myself
That
as Will
seems a little
Smith.
too much. That
I was like,
seems
that
too
I maybe I didn't need this right now.
Thanks for bringing
But
me, Gary. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah,
This is lovely.
yeah. But
That's
the panel
great.
was nice. So
Okay.
you know.
If people don't know you,
Yeah.
I guess we've done a shitty job, but how would they
Yeah.
know you? You tested.com, that was your old gig.
Yeah, I did. I started Test in 2010 with Norm Chan. We worked with the Mythbusters the last few years, and we got to go do a bunch. Like I stood on top of a nuclear reactor while it was running, and looked down between my legs at the blue glow of Chernikov radiation.
Oh, okay.
Which is a haunting color. You can only see it at a nuclear
This is
reactor.
before or after your daughter.
2 weeks before she was conceived. So I'm hoping for superpowers. There's still a
man,
chance.
wow.
Oh, ho, ho.
Like you know,
That's fun.
We'll
Well,
see.
What are you doing now?
So now, about a year and a half ago, I started a company called Foo, and that's FOO VR, and we're building virtual reality sound stages, basically. So you put on a Vive, you get into our software, we'll record your performance, sound, movements, the whole thing, and then we animate a character based on your movements in that spot. So you can create 3D rendered interactive VR stuff like the Foo Show. With just off-the-shelf hardware, we could do it in this room right here. We could make a cartoon version of this show if you wanted.
Well, this sounds like an excellent segue into our first topic. But first, I'm going to do the whole rigmarole. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Games cast. Each and every week we get together, talk about video games, all things we love about them. You can get it early on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, or you can get it late at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Either way, we appreciate you. And a little bit of, housekeeping stuff. Greg's not going to be here next week on the show.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you watch this on YouTube, I won't be here the week it's posting on YouTube because I'll be in LA for E3 Judges Week.
Oh.
This is a huge honor. I've never gone to Judges Week as a judge.
Wow.
I've gone to Judges Week as I'm an IGN underling.
Like a chud?
Yeah, because they do the whole thing. If you're unfamiliar with Judges Week, is that Jeff Keighley assembles the super friends of video game publications and invites them there to see games early. That then they'll see other games at the show, and then at the end of E3 they vote and they say, "Hey, these were the best games of E3," as like one unified body outside of just your IGNs, your GameSpots, whoever's. And so when I was at IGN, I'd go down there and do Judges Week, but it meant that Steve or Hillary or whoever was going to every event, and then there'd be some events where they're like, all right, the judges portion is over.
Judges only.
Yeah, judges only, or
Judges only.
We'll throw you a bone and lift the velvet rope so you can come in and play whatever dragon game somebody's crapping out, and you play it, and then you write nonstop about it, and you feel like, oh man, if only I was a judge. But that's the ivory tower I'll never make it to. And this year, Kind of Funny has been, I guess they can't say anymore. We don't matter. Kind of Funny is put its stamp on the world, its place on the map. Fuck everybody. We're one of the companies they want voting on these things.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank
We
you.
did it.
Thank you. It's a
That is a
huge
big
honor.
deal.
It's
That
a
is a
huge
huge
honor for
deal.
us in this
Yeah.
industry. So thank you so much. It's because of your support. I will now not work and probably just drink with Brandon Jones and Victor Lucas.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Greg's going to go down there. He's going to see all the games. And then the following week, or whenever the embargo
won't be able to talk about
which will
anything.
probably be
Exactly.
E3, we'll talk about it. But at the very least, we'll do a topic about your experience.
Do you
there.
want to know what I'm planning on doing? I'm bringing the old school notebook, and I'm going to take copious notes on these games so that when these embargoes do lift, we can either do topics or breakout segments or whatever, reactions as they call them here.
You know, if you got one of those sticks that you put your phone on,
Yeah.
you could hold it out in front of you after you
God.
do the thing, and you could talk
I could
to the
do
camera.
that, yeah.
And then you'd have video too, instead of having to write like some sort of
But then,
peasant.
but then it's just me up in my hotel room doing that, and I got people walking by behind
into
me. You would do it?
No, I said I'm into it.
Oh, you're into the stick?
I think
You're into the stick reactions.
I'm into anything. Yeah.
You are the one who's always bitching we got to use the wall more or whatever.
We do need to use the wall more. You're right. You're right. All right, cool. Well, anyway, congrats, Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, congrats
It's
to
gonna be
you
awesome.
and you
Congrats
and
to
everybody.
It's gonna be
Congrats to the
very
best friends for making this
cool.
happen.
And
And also,
Exactly.
congrats to Tom Bach, our Patreon producer for the month. Thank you very much for being
Let
an
me
awesome
just say,
dude.
these segues today.
Oh, yeah.
And you were bitching. You're like, I think I'm getting sick. Look at you just destroying
I'm
it.
just right now. Okay, segue. Let's take a little time travel trip back a second ago when we had a really good segue. Today's topic is VR. Let's talk about
the
it.
virtual reality.
The future of it, but also the state of it in
state of VR.
2017.
I like that a lot.
So where we're at now, we got all the big guys are out. Oculus officially out.
Sure.
PlayStation VR been out for a while now.
Yep.
Half a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Vive is there too, right?
Yeah.
Killing it, doing its own thing. What does this mean?
Well, you can go to the store and buy them.
It's true.
Can you? Because this is the problem. Every
Yes.
time we talk about PlayStation VR,
Yes.
it comes up as, oh, the people in the chat, if we're doing it on Twitch, I can't find it in my
it still
store.
hard to find?
Yeah, but then there's other people who are just, I'm at Target, and they take a photo and there's a wall of PlayStation VR. And so I don't know what the line is to buy anymore, because that was the thing when Andy House did that interview with Business Insider, or whoever it was, Business Times, saying like, you know, we screwed up. We underestimated demand. We didn't get them out fast enough. So now I'm not sure where demand is anymore, if that was a moment in time where everybody wanted it. Because, you know, with us being our audience mainly PlayStation focused,
Yeah.
or at least me being a PlayStation voice, I don't know why I get,
I
painted that
mean,
picture.
I don't know what it could possibly be.
Our audience, they talked about how hard it was to find. They bought it at launch, and then for a while, I thought people didn't care about it because, like, when we were doing PS I Love You Still, I'd be like, nobody's writing in questions about it, but I don't hear people bitching about it. And it was what
that's kind of what you want on a new hardware launch.
and that's
right?
what I said for once. I thought the tone had been set of, hey, PlayStation VR is coming. It's Gen 1, and you're making an investment on unproven tech, and you're not going to get a AAA game every month, and blah, blah. And rather than not listen to that, buy it, and be pissed off, it seemed like the people who are hardcore enough to buy it and pre-order it knew what they were getting, bought it, and then just chilled out. But even now, I am starting to see the crop of, well, what am I playing on this? Where is it going?
Well, I mean, so this is a lot. This is a big. You asked like a bunch of questions.
If you
here.
could
There's a
wrap it
lot
up
to
in
unpack.
4 minutes,
I'll
though.
give you. Okay, I got 4 minutes.
No, you got
I'm
all
working
time in the
on
world.
it. We're just now reaching the. If you think about the way I think about VR, real VR has hands, right? Or at least a tracked controller. It's like the PlayStation, the way PSVR tracks the
Move?
DualShock. Or
Oh,
even the track dual, like the Move is good. The Move is interesting because it's like really good on X and Y, and it's not so great in and out from
Sure.
the camera. The track DualShock is actually my kind of preferred PlayStation controller for most of the games that I played. You know, the even like Rez and stuff like that. The hands are the real key. And Valve introduced the Vive at E3 2015, which was just now 2 years ago. GDC 2015, which is just now 2 years ago. So like if we're talking about a game that somebody who didn't have early access to the hardware before announce, meaning like the Job Sim folks and the Northways making fantastic contraption and stuff like that, then we're just now at a normal AAA game 2-year development cycle. So we're just like, and you're seeing that stuff starting to come out. Like Resident Evil 5 hit. What is it? Super Hot's coming to Vive later this month. It seems like they started teasing that.
PlayStation's finally talking about Farpoint again. Farpoint looks cool.
Farpoint's the shooter that they showed at E3 a couple. Yeah, that game's that was one of the first things I played that had like movement like a traditional game that I didn't immediately feel like I was going to throw up. So I think the games are a little bit slow. The kind of overall market, like I have a startup, so I talk to investors and stuff like that.
Startup,
I know.
Where's your weird big wheel?
.com leather jacket wearing assholes. No, we're like people are looking at the game's adoption on the desktop side especially, but also the PSVR, and they're thinking that maybe this isn't going to be a new technology that's driven by games. They're starting to hedge and make bets about enterprise applications and stuff like that. So, investments slowed down on consumer-focused stuff, which is not great for video game people, but at the same time, the hardware is finally getting to a point where there's enough units out there that it's kind of a legitimate platform that's worth spending time on.
Yeah.
Between Oculus, if you're building a Steam VR game that works on Oculus Touch and Vive and the upcoming LG headset and all the other stuff that's coming down the pipe, then we're looking at 1 million plus headsets just now, which isn't a lot compared to say the Switch and nothing compared to PS4, Xbox, or Steam as a whole. So. It's a new market. We're still pre-iPhone days. Like remember the Palm Treo and the old Blackberries and all. Like that's what we're talking. That's what we're using right now, and we're working up to get to the point that we have that first moment where like you download the app that tells you what song is playing on the radio or in the department store or whatever, and we're not there yet.
That's a great point. We just went and did the Star Trek bridge game.
How is that? I haven't gotten to play it yet.
It's fun. It's complicated as all hell. I really was like, oh, we're going to jump in there and we're going to have fun with it. And it was like, all right, let's sit down. We're going to walk you through 15 slides of PowerPoint. And then you have to do the tutorial. And then you have to play them. And like, okay, cool. And so then we jump into the mission and it's still, because it's very much like you're a team based, of what's going on, right? And I was running engines or whatever to shoot them off. But I totally forgot that I needed to tell the other guy that, to move power around. So like when it was like, all right, Greg, take us over there. I'm like, all right. And like, and I'm like, I don't know why we're not moving fast.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought that they overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't need to show. I think the slides confused the thing because I thought once we were in, when I was doing all the tutorials, I'm like, oh my God, this seems overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then once we started doing it, I'm like, we're fucking up because we're being assholes. Like,
sure. Well, yeah,
if we were really paying attention, because it's not like each person has that much in front of them.
It was just that thing of like, it's this really smart concept of to make you talk to each other, to make you look back at the other guy and be like, this is what I need. And it's to what you're talking about too, of like, for me, it was putting it on, and after having primarily done PlayStation stuff, putting it on, and we're looking at each other, and then we started like you're using your fingers, and we're doing like guns and like this and crap like that, and then love and sex stuff moves and whatever. But it was like this is cool, and it was that cool idea of like being in that space together, except for when I punched him by accident.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those that's
in real life,
like the tutorial stuff. You really punched him. That happens.
Well, it was that thing of boom, I'm on the bridge. These are my controls, and Tim's over there, and I was like, but do this. And he was like as close as you are. I went, poof. I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry.
Not the face. It's one of those things that, like, the tutorial thing that you mentioned is a real key thing. Like when we make 2D video games that live on a TV screen, like they can steal UI prompts from stuff that's come 30 years before. Sure. When you're building a game like Bridge Commander and you need to get a lot of information out, there's not a good framework. Like we don't know what the user interface and user experience should be like for those experiences in a 3D world. Because like in the real world, which is 3D and is how we interact with everybody every day, if you need to convey a bunch of information, you send them an email or they look at a piece of paper or something like that. Reading isn't great in the goggles with the current resolution of the displays. So we're having to build all these interesting UI elements that are like kind of mimic real world objects. Like for example, when we were building a fast forward interface for the Foo Show is this virtual reality talk show I do. And we needed a way to fast forward and scrub through a timeline. And like we know how to do that in video. You just click the thing at the bottom of the video window and it fast forwards. But that was a bad experience when you're trying to aim like a laser pointer at it because your hand's wobbly and it's not good. And we did a bunch of work to smooth it out and make it work better, but it still wasn't a great experience.
Yeah.
We ended up just making a physical object that pops up in the world when you hit a button, and you reach out and grab a ball and you move the ball with your hand across the line.
Like you're scrubbing through a
like
YouTube
you're scrubbing
video.
through a YouTube video. And at the same time, all the characters are Benny Hilling all around the world. And like people get that immediately. It makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
And it's much better than like trying to recreate 2D UI.
That's super smart because that was the thing with Arkham VR.
Yeah.
Where Batman does and he replays the crime scene, but it was that putting your hand in, like turning like this.
That's
and
actually pretty good. I
It
think.
was good,
Yeah.
but it just took a second of wait. It wasn't that natural immediately, and then like precision wise, it wasn't. There.
But it's kind of like every time you need to do some new user interaction that nobody's figured out before, or that you think you could do better, it's like trying to build a car without knowing how to make a wheel, right? You're literally starting from ground zero and everything. So a lot of stuff is taking a lot more time, which is why we're always late with all of our Kickstarter rewards and stuff like
Sure.
that. Excuses.
Are you still confident? Like you jumped in, VR is this hotbed. Is it still there for you?
I mean, we're in a really lucky spot because if we were selling consumer software, I'd be a little bit more worried. The fact that we also have this whole that we accidentally built a thing that's really great for making 2D animation inexpensively, puts us in a pretty okay situation for the indeterminate future.
So what do you see it being in terms of a future for gaming? Like, is it going to wane? Or do you think you're going to see PlayStation double down and do more with it, or are they going to go quiet for a while and?
So there's enough headsets in the market that people are going to keep making games, right?
Yeah.
But I think we'll see instead of big AAA, like I think Resident Evil 5 is kind of 7. Sorry, I knew it was odd, but I couldn't remember which one. Is kind of 5 was the racist one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why aren't they all?
5 was that.
Okay,
one.
but some are more than anyway.
Well, sure.
5 was the most.
Yeah. I think that we're going to see. I think we're going to see people making more smaller projects, right? I think stuff like Superhot is a great example. I don't know if you guys have played that.
Superhot's awesome.
But yeah, like something that's a relatively short, tight, really, really well designed, really, really interesting thing. But we're not going to see a 200-hour Persona game come out in VR. I kind of don't want that.
Persona. 90 hours in this headset would be awesome.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, we'll get there. The market's going to get there. The hardware works. It's good.
Yeah.
People are into it. Enough people have bought headsets. Like it takes a while.
Do you think? I mean, you'll see the smaller games usually speak to smaller developers like the Superhot team and stuff. Do you think they're going to? Are they going to make these games because someone's coming to them and contracting them to do it, or are they going to do it because that's what speaks to them? Because there's that balance of, well, there are only a few million units in existence when I could go to PlayStation and then make something that goes to Xbox and PC and everything.
Well, it remains to be seen what's going to happen with Xbox and Scorpio and VR. They have a partnership with Oculus. Looking at the specs on that hardware, it seems like it should be capable of doing at least PSVR quality, if not much better resolution, even maybe with a desktop headset.
Okay.
I think that we're in an interesting situation right now because all of the AAA kind of stuff that we've seen come out so far, the vast majority of it has been funded or at least subsidized by either Sony or Oculus. I think when that money stops happening, if that money stops happening before the market is big enough to support those kinds of games, that's a kind of real dangerous inflection point, right? Because if the money's not there to make the AAA games, but the audience has come to expect the AAA games, then we're in a not great situation.
Gotcha.
So a question from user Rory Binks is, how long do you think it'll take before we see the second iteration of the current VR headsets?
Hardware. So there's already rumors about like revisions to the existing hardware that make it lighter and stuff like that. In terms of substantial like capability changes, so things like higher resolution screens or eye tracking inside the headset, or like there's even research projects that have come out of SIGGRAPH where they put electrodes around the edges of the mask.
Oh my God.
And it tracks the face.
Your cheeks.
It tracks the muscles contracting around the edges of your eyes and your cheeks, so it can detect smiles and stuff like that. It'll be
He smiled. Shoot him in the face.
well, I mean, think about playing something like Werewolf though, when you can see people's facial reactions versus right now when you kind of can't, and it's not as much fun when you have no tells if they're lying.
Smart.
Anyway, I think we're gonna get to that point sooner than we think, but I don't think this year. I think next year at the earliest, and maybe even the year after that, depending on hardware vendors. The Steam VR side's a little bit more wobbly though, because it's more of an open platform. So Oculus is building Oculus hardware. Anybody can build Steam VR hardware, and like if HTC decides they want to spin a new version of the Vive before Valve thinks it's ready, they can go ahead and do it, I think. So,
Do you see some of these people falling away and leaving the marketplace?
the hardware people or the software people?
Hardware mainly, because I mean, it's always there's Oculus, there's PlayStation, there's Vive.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't know what the attach rate's like on the PlayStation side.
Yeah.
My guess is that people who bought a PSVR, a lot of them also went out and bought PS4 Pros last year.
Yeah.
And they're the true believers, the hardcore faithful. Right. I think. I mean, I don't know. I think if people keep buying games, then people keep making hardware. Mm-hmm. If people stop buying games on one platform or another, then the hardware will start to fall off.
Gotcha.
And like on the Steam VR side, we've seen that's closer to an analog to Android, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of vendors come in and out of that space over the years. More come in than go out, but some people have definitely pulled out of or gone out of business. Failed.
Do you see a PSVR 2 happening, Greg?
I mean, I want to see what happens this year. This year's the big question mark for me, because it was leading up to it. I thought their messaging was so great, where it was shoe out in front. And I know for our longtime listeners are so sick of this. Shoe out in front. This is to us what PlayStation 1 was to us. We are launching something that in 20 years will look different. We are committed to it. We know what's happening. They put it out. There's Batman, there's Star Wars, there's all these like franchises for you to grab onto and understand. And then there was a shortage. Andy admits it. You're like, okay, there's going to be more. There's going to be games. There's going to be announcements. There's not, but E3's here. But E3 last year was AAA done. It wasn't, hey, let's talk about it. Are they going to do that? Is this where you come out and you're like, hey, everybody, PlayStation VR had a great year. You're seeing them in stores again. We're so excited. Here's how many units sold. And here are 3 big things from the first parties. Here's what we're doing that are big things. Or is it nothing? Is it a sizzle reel of things that look like Job Simulator? And then you're like, now I feel like this is Vita, and are we on that Vita track where this is just like, go do your thing? More
important than new next gen headset, because the headset's shockingly capable for the price point, right? It's a really, really nice piece of hardware.
Feels great too. I love the form factor.
It's comfortable. It's my most favorite to wear. Like I love that the little gaskets just press up and you're not getting a bunch of stuff mashed onto your face. The thing that platform has problems with is the hand controllers. Like the touch, like I said, the touch were great. Like what, 5-6 years ago 8 years ago when they came out. But the fact that you can't go in and out, that you lose that Z axis, makes it really hard for people who want to port games from Vive and Oculus over to that platform. And then the other thing is that it's much more expensive to develop for a closed platform like the PlayStation than it is to just gin something up in Unity and jam it out on Steam. Yeah. So like, if they want to engage those small developers and get a lot of titles out on that platform, then they either have to loosen up the restrictions, but they also have to produce some better hand controllers. And E3 is a great time to announce that.
And that's where I get scared, is because it feels like what I've been talking about with PlayStation is that, PlayStation 3 made so many mistakes and then started coming back, and then to launch PlayStation 4, announced at that February event, they said all the right things. We're about games, we're about gamers, and that's why they're successful. But then it felt like this was coming back to the old PlayStation of like, all right, now we can come back and just rely on our games. We don't have to put personalities out. We're not going to have Shu out there. We're not going to have a fun video with Adam. It's going to be very like old PlayStation was. In old PlayStation, how do you put during a conference that information out? I'd much rather see a blog post tomorrow that's like, hey, everybody, we are doing a pub fund again, and we are incubating 4 indie developers who've signed 3 game deals to make VR stuff and make
That would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And that we're still committed to this in this way. And the fact that they've been so quiet on that front is alarming to me of like, well, what does this mean? And PlayStation's a big ship, and I feel like were we witnessing them change that course while they were talking of like, we've been working on this forever and it's finally here and we're excited about it, but that's the old guard, and the new guard is like, well, why would we ever do this? We're selling consoles hand over fist.
Well, I mean, the larger question about VR as a whole, though, like the technology is transformative. I still believe that, right? Yeah. When you talk about, a lot of game developers talk about verbs in terms of what you can map to controllers and verbs that are accessible to players when they're playing a game. So if you're playing Call of Duty, you can jump by pressing the A button, you can shoot by pulling the trigger, you can aim down the sights by pulling the other trigger, you can move. But there's not any when you have the ability to reach out and pick things up with your hands, all of a sudden a lot more verbs are accessible to you. And the variation inside those verbs is also much more available. So if you're talking about knifing somebody, in Call of Duty, if your cursor's in the right place and you're inside the distance for the check when you press the stab button, you're going to stab the guy no matter what. But if you have hands, you can reach out, you can swipe down, you can jab, you can swipe across, you can swipe up from the bottom, you can block, you can throw your sword across the room and stab the guy with the flying sword.
Probably don't want to do that with VR.
I mean, don't let go of the controller, but
That's why
otherwise,
you got the wrist straps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
good.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's
Yeah.
perfectly like don't let your kid in the room when you're playing VR. That's a pro tip. But, yeah, exactly. Daddy, why'd you hit me? That hasn't happened for me. Just,
Then they tell the
Child
kids at
Protective
school.
Services. Yeah.
They're there. They're knocking
Next
on the
thing
door.
you know, it's all bad. But yeah, so like having the ability to interact with a software in a 3D wet sense, the same way that we interact with a 3D world, means things that like sculpting 3D objects are much easier in VR than they ever have been in on a 2D desktop using that crappy 4-pane, the CAD interface. So I mean, the technology's good. It's here. It's going to happen.
My whole thing is I'm just worried about a chilling effect, so we don't get to those games, so we don't get to those experiences.
It's a real concern
Because that's the thing where Star Trek Bridge Crew is a game that if it came to consoles and PC or whatever, I would look at it and be like, no. But to put it on, because I'm not a Star Trek fan, I'm not interested in that kind of teamwork. But you put it on and you're like, oh, this is such an added dimension. Like what you were just talking about. Imagine if they did Gary's mod that way, and we were running around and one of us is, you know what I mean, not running around physically, but like moving around and it's our own hands and stuff. That's really cool because it'd be like, are you reaching for the gun right now? No, I was reaching out to get the no. You're the murderer. No, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's like Rec Room. Have you played Rec Room? So Rec Room is a Oculus and Vive thing. And it's basically a bunch of mini games. It's not in a mini game collection sense, but it's all multiplayer. So you can go play ping pong, you play dodgeball, you play paintball.
Okay.
They recently rolled out a couple of quests, and they're basically you go with 4 players. You have guns, you have crossbows, you have bows and arrows, you have swords and shields, and you just kind of dungeon crawl through this maze with 4 friends. And it's a super, super simple game, but it is so much more fun than any kind of TV-based video game would be, just because you're literally like, hey, you need to come over and revive me. High-five me to revive me. And they come over and high-five you. You're literally ducking down behind cover.
Yeah.
You know, all of that stuff makes it a much more deep game than it would be if you were just trying to map those same controls to a gamepad and or a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, when VR is done right, it's so fantastic. And I'm just worried about people getting the legs. There's not enough units shipped, so I'm not going to make a game that way, and I'm not going to do that.
But I mean, the secret is if you look at stuff like, what was the Ubisoft game about Grow Up? Grow Home.
Oh, Grow Home, yeah.
Like you look at these even AAA games are starting to spin out little side projects. So rather than lose those people that want to go out and start their own studios, they're spinning them out into their own little side projects. And I think we'll see a lot of really interesting stuff out of there. And frankly, you need to be able to iterate quickly with the software right now because like a new game comes out. I see something like Breath of the Wild is a good example. If you're making an open world game in 2017 that's shipping after Breath of the Wild and you can't climb up stuff, you got to be really busting your ass right now to get the ability to climb stuff in.
Yeah.
And that happens with VR literally every week.
See, and that's what you just said is the same pitch I've been making for Switch, where it's like, Ubisoft isn't going to port the next Assassin's Creed to Switch, but why not take some UbiArts people and let them make something to it? And that's, again, where we get into the business model of like, well, there's a few million VR headsets out, but we know Switch has now sold 2 million, more than 2 million in the first month, was it, or whatever?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, let's get out there.
If you can draft off of the art that's accessible to a Ubisoft studio and take up some of the slack time when there's downtime between projects and all that, then why wouldn't you make some VR games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing with PSVR in particular is it was too little too late in terms of the game releases. And I think that now we're at a point where I don't think we're going to get much PSVR stuff at E3. And I think that we might have seen all the big AAA titles that it has. And we'll get some more experiences. Like last year, we got trailers for there was Batman, there was Final Fantasy 15,
Star Wars,
whatever.
And I think for
Final Fantasy, I still think's not out.
Which one?
Oh,
The
Final Fantasy 15
VR.
I don't remember.
I don't think it's out yet, but I might be wrong. Let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
I think in the same vein, I wouldn't be surprised that next thing is Star Battlefront 2, and they come out and they're like, and guess what? There is a VR component that's bigger, a little bit better.
And I think that that's cool. I think that that's the right way to handle the bigger license things, where it is just like smaller experiences, because trying to shoehorn the Battlefront game into VR is just not going to work.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying about the Sony needs new peripherals, I think if they were to do that, they had to have done it when it launched the thing. Because at this point, when they don't have the games, you can't expect people to buy more things to get things to work correctly, especially when that will segment the audience in the way that the Wii U did, where certain controllers work for certain things and it was a disaster.
Well, that was what's so interesting about the launch of PlayStation VR is that they really didn't make a big deal about the Move again. We all thought it would be a big, Move's back in stores, da-da-da. And it really was like, there's a bundle if you want it, or you just order them off Amazon.
So they didn't make you buy Moves. Like, you don't have to buy the Moves with the bundle even today. So I think that there's still an opportunity to come out and say, hey, look, you dug out your Moves from the closet. They were cheap if you bought them on Amazon, whatever. Let's make these good, and let's roll out with a first party Sony thing that's just baller. That uses these new hand controllers. And the other thing is, like, the hand controllers are going to change. The Oculus controllers are really good. The Vive controllers are kind of ambiguous. They showed some stuff at Steam Dev Days last year, so we're going to see some changes there. And we'll see some incremental upgrades to that in the same way that you kind of upgrade your phone case or whatever. Sure. Probably they'll cost more than $35.
Probably. Or I'm dropping $80 on Pro controllers left and right, whatever.
Well, I got one final question about VR. It's important. This comes from More Saiyan on Twitter. Do you think Armored Core would make a good VR experience?
Man, I was a Chrome Hounds guy. I don't know anything about Armored Core.
There you go. Little history lesson on
I
this.
thought we had it answered. We finally answered it. He's going to do an Armored Core.
This is VR specific. This was for Will.
Look, yes, a giant mech tank game, VR, it's right in the wheelhouse.
There you go, Chris.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
Let's make it happen.
That's what Konami should have done.
I really want Chrome Hounds. I'd love to see a From Chrome Hounds 2 full VR with like all the weird communication stuff that they had in that game. So good.
That would have been the way to go with Metal Gear. If you're going to keep making Metal Gear and piss everybody off, make some kind of your Metal Gear simulator fighting game or whatever. Don't make this stupid zombie first-person shooting.
Zone of the Enders VR.
No, Zone sucks. Zone sucks. Zone of the Enders sucks. We only ever bought Zone of the Enders to get our Metal Gear Solid
and then
2
you fell in
demo
love with
disc.
it because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, ordered the demo disc off eBay.
PlayStation
when full anime was great. Fantastic. All right, second topic. There was a tweet that went Twitter viral. I don't know. It was trending, I would say, from this dude named Post Mesmeric. And his tweet was, what's your game of the year for the last 5 years? Quote, tweet this, and everyone share your thing. So I did that, and we had a bunch of the best friends out there share theirs, and I asked you guys to do it as well.
Sure.
I thought it'd be a fun conversation.
Sure.
Because I think about this every once in a while. Back when we were at IGN, there was a rigorous debate over what the game of the year was. Lots of discussions, and so much will go into that. When we started Kind of Funny, every year we have our game of the year discussion, but it's a bit more loose.
We're usually exhausted by the end of it, and we're just like, whatever.
You guys could like order pizza, beer, just sit down, bare knuckle box it out.
No, I mean, it's
we just
just
gotta talk on the show
we just
and
do
see
it.
what
Yeah, we
happens.
just do it, and then we begrudgingly vote, and somebody wins.
I mean, last year no one even won. Last year, while we were doing the conversation, there was a car alarm outside that wouldn't stop going off.
Literally went off the entire
time.
Yeah.
So we just
love that.
left at some point.
I think we got beers there.
Yeah, we did. We did. So that was fun. But it's interesting to look back because I feel like, you know, in the moment you have your choices, but when you think back on games, it might change. Because like looking at this year, my shit, I was like, I stand by all these, and these were what my game of the years were. But there's something that I'm like, oh man, thinking of it, did I like Grand Theft Auto 5 more than Last of Us? I don't know.
I think I probably would have said Grand Theft Auto 5 at the time, but looking back, Last of Us was a much more memorable game and like the transformative game.
And so my thing is, back then and now, I still went with Last of Us.
Sure.
So let me hit it off with my list. 2012, Journey. 2013, Last of Us. 2014, Smash Bros. For Wii U. 2015, Metal Gear Solid 5. 2016, Overwatch.
Okay.
What you got, Will?
I got Spelunky for Xbox 360 in 2012.
Ooh, okay.
Like I still play Spelunky probably once a month. Game's amazing. I got Super Mario Brothers 3D World and Zelda 3DS, which I think were both 2013.
Oh, you are, man, speaking to my own heart.
What? You love them?
Those are great games.
Love those games. Specifically 3D World.
3D
it gets
World
shit on way too much.
Man, I rediscovered that recently playing with my kid because she's like getting into Mario and likes platformers and stuff. That game is so tight. Like there's all the depth of all the old Mario games, and it's this giant open world. Like each level is this giant open world big enough for four. It's a great game.
It's a 2D platformer. It's a 2D Mario game in 3D.
And then like thinking about Zelda, going back now and looking at Breath of the Wild, what they did next, and thinking, oh right, they were testing some different
Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, such a great game.
They were thinking about different ways to reinvigorate that, and they kind of went a little bit with that, and then they just blew it all.
Yeah,
up
do
with
it.
Breath
Do
of the Wild.
Dungeons in any order. What do you want?
Yeah,
whatever.
We don't care. Do what you want.
So
You just run around and pick
2013,
fruit.
That was the same year GTA 5 and Last of Us came out.
Yeah, so I didn't play GTA 5 in 2013 because I was waiting for PC because I'm that guy. I did play Last of Us, but I probably finished Last of Us the next year if I had to guess.
Got it.
Because it was kind of late in the year, and that time of year is always busy.
Yeah, and then they
for me.
re-released it on PS4 super soon. So
But Last of Us, like the thing that I loved about Last of Us, I was bad at stealth games for a really long time. Then I played Dishonored 1 and oh god, what's the Clay game? The 2D side scroller.
Clay Fighter?
No. The guys who do like Don't Starve and all that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sorry.
The ninja one or the
Ninja.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, Blade of the Ninja.
Is
Mark
it?
of the Ninja.
Mark of the Ninja sounds right.
Mark of the Ninja pretty much taught me how to play stealth games.
Gotcha.
I was always garbage. Like I played Thief, I was garbage at it before.
Yeah.
And that taught me how to play that. And then I went right from there into Last of Us, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a stealth
can do
game.
this.
I can
I got
do this.
something. Yeah,
I know this. So I love Last of Us. I'm stoked for the Laster of Us or whatever, the last part or whatever they're going to call it. Yeah, exactly. 2014, I got Mario Kart 8 because that game's amazing.
Okay.
Still, it turns out.
Oh yeah.
Better now.
Rocket League, yeah, it is a lot. Two. You can hold two things.
Yeah.
And
Dry bones.
and butt drag in a shell. Totally guards now. It didn't before. It was total bullshit back in the day.
Battle mode is so good, man.
I am such garbage at battle mode. It
Really?
is frustrating more than fun.
Dude, battle mode is so good. And in Mario Kart 8, I haven't put too much time into the new one, but the little time I have, like, we need to do Let's Plays of this.
Yeah.
It is just
So I can
so
kick your
awesome.
ass.
If I'm playing multiplayer
that
right
right,
now, it's
Zach,
PlayerUnknown's
Josh.
Battlegrounds probably, but that's a whole different,
Bunch of other kids.
it's a different topic.
Yeah.
Rocket League 2015.
Oh,
I mean, damn. And then I wrote Overwatch and Dishonored 2 for 2016. Man, I love Overwatch, and man, I love Dishonored 2.
give the fight for Dishonored 2 because we're not Dishonored guys.
What?
No.
Do you just hate things that are good?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dishonored 2 had two. It takes. You probably aren't Deus Ex guys then either, right?
No, Nick was. Nick is.
Okay.
Nick is busy.
Nick hurt his back, so I talk like he's dead.
Okay,
But he's alive, I
it
think.
happens. If you, my wife heard her back a few years, she might as well be.
Exactly.
You pray for
Worthless dude,
early
yeah.
death at this point. It's open. It's a critical path game where you can go down this path. The way you traverse that path is going to be different for everybody. Because if you want to play it like a stealth game, you can play it like a stealth game. If you want to hack a bunch of shit and just murder everybody, you can do that. If you just want to go through guns blazing and kill people, you can do that too. And instead of kind of leading you by the nose like a traditional kind of RPG or I'm trying to think, Prey. Well, Prey is the next game by those guys at Arcane.
Yeah.
It's you see. You begin to look at the world. You know that moment in The Matrix when Neo looks down the hallway and it bulges and he sees the code underneath?
Yeah.
You get that moment about 2 levels into Dishonored, right? And the second one, they went so fucking crazy bonkers with level design. Like I kind of want to spoil it because it'll sell you on the game. I apologize
so.
in advance. There's a level in the first bonkers level design you hit is called the Clockwork Mansion. You go in, there's nobody there. It's a completely empty level. You pull a lever, and all of a sudden the rooms, like the walls, start pulling back, and they're all like mechanically steampunking, falling away from you. And then they close back in a different configuration, and you're like, oh, I have to figure out how to set up the walls to do the maze. And then you realize, oh, wait, no. While the walls are configuring, you can actually just jump behind the walls and bypass the entire the entire core loop of that. What you initially think is the core loop of that level.
You interstellared it.
It is Murph. It's so good. It's every bit as good as Interstellar.
Huh.
I like Interstellar. I'm an Interstellar.
Oh, we
I
love
like
Interstellar.
Interstellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to work with this one guy who said Miller's Planet all the time. He'd work it into conversations, drove me crazy.
Miller's Planet. Yeah, okay, I can see that. That's a good planet.
Time passing.
Good planet.
Yeah,
Shout out
I
to
mean,
Miller's Planet.
yeah, everybody loves Miller's Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overwatch.
It's like TF2 modernized and awesome, and I played thousands of hours of TF2 back in the day. Look, you jump in. The secret of Overwatch is actually the matchmaking. Like the mechanics of each character are great. They balanced it really well because it's Blizzard and that's what they do. But the fact that they made matchmaking really, really good, and it's a little bit different on the consoles than it is on PC. I'm a PC guy again. But you always get good games, right? Like I'm always matched against people that are close to the same skill level because they ask me to say, hey, who is the best player on this round? Then they can filter that into the matchmaking and match me with people that play like that person. And they build this profile of me. It's like in the same way that Amazon and Netflix and everybody does, but they know what I want. They know I want to have 2 healers, and they know I want to have a couple of tanks, and then I want to have some baller DPS, and they know I want to go in and wreck house, and that's what I do every time I play.
So that was a hard one for me because Uncharted 4
Yeah.
is fantastic.
It's a good game.
But I got to give it to Overwatch, even though I'm trash at the game.
Yeah.
I don't really have a great grasp of it overall. I don't know which characters to use in which scenarios overall. But it reminds me of Smash Bros. If it was a first-person shooter.
You don't have to know the meta to be fun and have fun and be good at the game.
It's so fun though, and every time I jump in, it's like it always gives me the satisfaction that I kind of know what I'm doing, and I'm like, all right, cool, okay, because like it reminds me of Time Splitters back in the day. I never got into Team Fortress because I'm not a PC guy, but it reminds me of the fun of Time Splitters and the characters and the wackiness, but. It's so polished. And it's like, because I'm not a PC guy, I've never really been down the Blizzard train, but it just like opened my eyes to being like, man, there's something really special here. And I knew that I would like Uncharted, whereas Overwatch to me, I'm like, it's just the total package of awesomeness. I wish there was some single player shit that I feel like
Uncharted
really
is the first thing I've played. Like, it's the first Uncharted game that I finished. Right, it is an amazing Uncharted game. I bounce off of the blue aliens. I bounce off at like some bad guy closet where they just threw like I was doing a genocide.
Oh man, I killed all these pirates. Oh, more pirates!
Hey,
They're
guys,
coming
I
over
love
the wall.
pirates.
Yeah, so like I love Uncharted 4. I thought it was an amazing game, but Overwatch, I'll be playing Overwatch I expect to be playing Overwatch for years. And they do such neat stuff around that game too. Like they do events where they do like a PvE event where they take the players that aren't getting used in the meta very much and they dump them in and you know make you use them, make you learn how to use them with the encounters they get. It's a super smart game. And those guys have all the levers and know how to pull them.
Yeah, man, they're good at that. Greg,
Hi.
give me your 5.
So here's the thing. Right now, we stopped the top. I can give a shout out to one giant bomb. Who, when you said this was the thing, I was like, oh, easy. And I just put Greg Miller, favorite game.
I did the same thing.
Giant Bomb, and then all the years. Fucked myself over because they didn't ask me to do, I guess, in 2014. So that was the first one where I was like, what did I pick? And I guess 2014 was a bad year for games, but I'll get that. I'm going to go in reverse. All right? I'm going to go present, or whatever, most recent, least recent. So Uncharted 4 is what I picked. Last year, obviously. A sucker for Uncharted. It was the end of it. It's like I always say, I think it's an unfair fight because it's not Uncharted 4. I'm saying it's, every Uncharted up until that point has fed into me thinking that's the best Uncharted of the time and why I love it. But similarly, and then we'll get to this in a little bit, I find it interesting you brought up the fact of like, you could have given it to Uncharted, but Overwatch is the whole package, right? And when we broke away and started doing this, and then even the list I was doing on Giant Bomb, I found as I get to number 1, because I would rank them like a man.
Look, I once ranked 100 consumer technologies.
That's a dumb list.
It was a week-long process. It was cover of Maximum PC Magazine in like 2009, probably.
Yeah.
I'm never making an ordered
I understand
list again.
But like when I get down to 2013, I was reading it. My description is like justifying why I picked this, and I'm like, I'm picking this game because of the impact it's had on me. I understand that if I had to vote like we used to, and I think I say the thing when we voted IGN, I'm voting for this because of the complete packageness. But blah blah. So Uncharted 4 for me again. Unfair though. I love it.
Look, I've never climbed stuff as good as I did in that game.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Well, that's
Zelda.
not true.
Breath of the Wild.
Well, then.
You don't know that.
Then,
yet.
yeah.
Maybe Assassin's Creed.
No, Assassin's Creed, you always did the thing where you went up and then you just at some point pivot off the wall and jump to your death. You're like, damn it. Fuck.
That's part of the charm.
That was
Yeah,
Uncharted
exactly.
1.
But Uncharted 4, great. It was what I want of games. I love the story. I love the narrative. I like the characters. They gave me all that. They were answering my questions as we played, and it's Uncharted, so great. 2015 was Metal Gear Solid 5. That game ate up so much time, and it's inverse of what I just said, where I don't know what the fuck the story is, but I'm playing this gameplay loop over and over and over again, and I'm getting better, and I'm unlocking this, and I'm earning that, and I'm upgrading. It was, I always say, right, it was HD Peace Walker mechanics, and I loved Peace Walker so goddamn much, right? And that's why it has to get the nod and why it goes there, and it matters so much to me. 2014 was like I said, the first year I don't have a Giant Bomb list on this. And I went and looked around, and I was like, God, I gave last year a lot of shit for like not being a lot of Greg Miller games. And I'm looking through 2014 lists, and I wasn't finding Greg Miller games there that like. And don't get me wrong, this is the year of
Mario Kart 8 Smash.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
Nintendo garbage.
No. I'm a huge Mario Kart fan. Okay. I just had such a dislike for the Wii U that I didn't play that much Mario Kart 8, which is why now I'm like so into the Switch version. I'm kicking everybody's ass online. I'm better than Tim, and I'm better than
I think
Andy.
that was also Tropical Freeze's year.
Fuck Tropical Freeze.
What
That's
the
a
fuck?
bad game.
I will fight you.
What?
What don't you like about that game?
It's I don't like Donkey Kong Country games.
Okay. That is a fair assessment
I
of
think that they are.
Why is he wearing a
bad
tie?
games.
You're wrong.
He's not a man.
Have you played Donkey Kong Country 2? Because you're wrong.
The SNES one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I'm old. I was in college when those games came out. I'd already bounced off of this nest and was playing Quake like a man.
Okay, got it.
So like I was murdering people on DM3 for like 3 years
Yeah,
by that
yeah.
point. I got no time for donkeys dressing up, calling
hear it.
themselves monkeys.
Yeah.
Ty,
I did
just
play
ride the
N64
elephants.
Donkey Kong. That game's okay.
Or the rhinos.
So
Well,
24.
I hate you. No.
Just kidding.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
kidding.
Good, because we're not going to let that
How much
just
stuff
slide.
can we collect?
I love it. Oh
How
my
much?
God.
Give me all the pieces.
2014, then I'm giving to it South Park Stick of Truth.
Oh, that game's great.
Yeah, I love
That is
South
a
Park.
solid
That-
answer.
that-
All
fun-
right.
Still one. I don't know. I haven't thought about it in a long time, but we know one of, if not the funniest game I've ever played.
Best video game sex scene I've ever seen.
Of course,
hands
yeah.
down.
You can't, and that was the thing is like
Most
you,
real, too.
You never, 100%. You never knew what was about to happen next in that game, and
No.
they did turn it on its head and do so many cool things, and that's why I can't wait for Fracture But Whole moving it into the superhero and riffing on that, which is way more my speed than Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But still a great game. Now here's where it gets interesting. 2013 is when I justify my pick. And in my pick for number one, I justify that Last of Us is the game I'm going to vote for. I think that's the better game of this year. But in terms of favorites, in terms of impact, I'm saying Gone Home. And I think 4 years later, I stand by that more than ever. Because how many times have I talked about fucking Gone Home and the narrative and the surprise of it not being a horror game and like the way it not only changed my interpretation of, oh man, what a great game this was, and I didn't expect that. The way it totally turned, I think, indie games on their head, and like we've seen so many walking simulators, but so many people telling stories in different interesting ways, whether that be something like Cybele or it be something like Gone Home or what they're doing now with Tacoma. Like it was a big deal that game hit the way it did. And Last of Us, still amazing. I still think the better, hey, you need an all-around package, you need a game you're spending $60 on and you're gonna get all your money's worth. This got great multiplayer, it's got a great story, it's got great combat, but Gone Home is still the game that I think about a lot and I talk about a lot. And granted, I'm a broken record, and also everyone else is beating the Last of Us drum. It's not like you need me there telling you it's awesome.
I mean, it's a stealth game. It's a shooter. There's giant plant monsters.
Yeah,
You get to play as the girl for one level.
I know. Spoilers! So many people were about to do it.
It just came out on PS4 like 2 years
You
ago.
just
too.
sank it. You just sank that
You
game's
should-
chance.
Don't be pissed about that. Go play Dishonored. That's the thing you should do.
Now here's 2012. Now 2012 is an interesting one because at first glance I was like, oh,
I know what your answer is.
it's my, really?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and say it.
Walking Dead.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is a chance for me to right a wrong. A wrong that I perpetrated and I fucked up. I admit it. People always ask, do you regret your review scores? No, I don't regret any of my review scores. I'm Alive sucked. Lair was garbage. Uncharted 3 is a great game. But Uncharted, you're going to argue that Uncharted 3 is not a great game now?
It's a fantastic game.
Maybe I
but it's
should
not
have
Uncharted
been.
2.
Meanbody I should have been allowed to review Uncharted 2, and then we would have had some parity in the reviews, and it
Maybe,
would have mattered.
maybe.
But it doesn't matter. Uncharted 3 is better than Uncharted 2. What matters is that year we got in this fucking room. Let's make top lists. Let's pick the best game for the PlayStation Vita.
What? They would still make games. For
This is
PlayStation
a big deal. This is a big year for PlayStation
Here we
Vita in
go.
2012.
Here we go.
And it came down to, is it going to be Little Big Planet, or is it going to be Persona 4 Golden?
Oh God, there's no choice here. No conversation. Like I love some Little Big Planet.
Right.
I love
Right.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, I know.
but
Me
it was
too.
a bad Little Big Planet.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's
it was
true.
not as good as the other Little
Well, of
Big
course not. It's
Planets.
on the Vita. Nothing's going to be as good as it.
Except for Persona
Except
4.
for
Well, Persona 4.
Golden.
Persona 4 is as good as it was
I
on
don't
PS2.
even like Persona games, and that's an amazing game. I bought Persona 5. I don't get it.
This is another topic.
Yeah.
But we got to it, and the problem was, of course, that neither of these are Colin games, and we're the only people who give a shit about Vita. So it was solely on my shoulders to figure out what I wanted to do and make a case for what it was. And what I did is I went mainstream and said Little Big Planet, with the idea being that it's literally infinitely replayable. You're going to make your own levels. This not only are you making your own levels, if you want to, there's now an infinite supply of levels for you to go and download and bring in. I'm rusty, but I want to say this is the one that introduced the Saveinator or whatever, where you could make an RPG kind of level and then come back and have progress over and over again. But even if I'm wrong, and that's 2, no, it must have been Vita, right? Because anyways, it doesn't matter. They actually put new shit into this one, and not Little Big Planet 3's like
They added a dog.
sock characters. That
Don't
was
hate
Little
on the
Planet 3.
dog.
Yeah,
No,
Little
I
Big
like
Planet
Little Big
socks
Planet
and all this
3.
dumb shit. Yeah, of course.
okay,
It's
it's
more
not
Little
great.
Big Planet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
exactly. But it was like the full-fledged Little Big Planet. It goes in your pocket. Do whatever the hell you want to. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. And Persona 4 Golden was, hey, this is an amazing JRPG. And if you're not into JRPGs, like this is not going to work for you and it's not going to speak to you. And I don't know. I mean, granted, as time will tell, it pulled in plenty of people who didn't care about JRPGs at the time. Ty Root's still playing the game. You know what I mean? Like it found people and got them in and did all these different things. And it was this thing that led to the success that Persona 5 seeing and will continue to see and made this. But at the time, I didn't know how to balance those and what it was. Because that was really, honestly, for me, one of those trying to be the unbiased, which is impossible, but unbiased. I'm trying to speak for IGN here. And I thought I went Little Big Planet because I'm a bigger Persona fan than I am a Little Big Planet fan. And I do love Little Big Planet, but whatever. So I fucked it over, said Little Big Planet. And so then I'm like, no sweat. Persona 4 Golden is going to be my pick for this. And then Walking Dead Season 1 came out. And
Walking Dead Season 1 is amazing.
And I think it's the same thing as I love Persona. And I think Persona is the better game. And on every front, I would recommend you play Persona and do all these different things. But again, in terms, I don't think we just did the Telltale topic last week. Yep. You can't sit there and look at Walking Dead and not talk about how it changed Telltale forever, how it changed narratives forever, how it changed adventure games forever, how it changed the emotions people get. I think both a whole bunch of people involved with that project, Dave Fennoy and Melissa and all these different, and even Gavin, will give me too much credit and Up at Noon too much credit of bringing voice actors on and then making them names and making them into things. But that is one of those games where that was happening at the same time. Everything, Troy Baker's happening and Nolan was already really popular, but it was like, hey, these guys are actually acting and doing something completely awesome and different and pouring their heart and souls into it, where it was all of a sudden that, oh, cool. We know their names. We want them to come to conventions. We want them to sign. Every time I do the Walking Dead panel and Melissa's on it, and she goes from regular old Melissa voice to doing Clem, and the audience gasps. You know what I mean? Like, it was such an awesome thing in a moment.
Well, and at the same time, that game is directly responsible. There's a through line from there for all the games since then that actually paid attention to dialogue.
Yeah.
So the voice acting is half of it. The writing is the other half. And that game had fantastic dialogue. And the fact that those guys realize, hey, we don't have to give people a good choice and a bad choice. We can just give them two awful choices, maintain that straight critical path through the game, and make it feel like they've actually done something, they've had more agency than they had. It's a trick, but it works really well, and there's nothing wrong with tricks.
And it gets you invested, you know what I mean? And it was like such a way to turn it all on its head of what Telltale was, which was, hey, we're making weird adventure games sometimes, like Sam and Max, but then, cool, here's Back to the Future, which was this weird half step that was a bad Back to the Future story. Here's Jurassic Park, which was just bad. And it was like, all right, cool. And it was, oh man, you guys are taking on one of my favorite franchises. Don't fuck this up. And they didn't fuck it up. And I was like, oh shit, this is awesome.
It's a good Andy Cortez.
Big old Andy Cortez. Stop looking at your Gandams and come in here. Your Gandams. You're always looking at Gundams when I walk by.
Are those giant robots?
Yeah, he's a big Gundam fan.
What are your
Gunplay
game of the year for the last 5 years?
Are we starting from 2012 or 2016?
2012.
2012? Oh man, about to piss a lot of people off here. Mass Effect 3 is my 2012 game.
It's a fine game.
It's about the journey. It's not about the destination, all right? That's what I feel about Mass Effect 3. Loved everything about it on the way. 2013 is really hard for me, guys. And I really want to put BioShock Infinite above The Last of Us. And are you gonna kill me if I do it?
No. You're allowed to be wrong.
I'm gonna put BioShock Infinite over The Last of Us.
Such an idiot. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. What's so great about BioShock Infinite? Eating hot dogs out of toilets?
Just the whole ending sequence was just, it fucking blew my mind. Incredible. I wish I was like on some hallucinogenic drugs while I was doing it. I was like calling everybody like, guys, check out this ending. And like nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. It felt very lonely. 2014, Shovel Knight.
Oh,
that's a good game.
That's a good one.
I forgot about that. Now here's the thing though. I didn't play Shovel Knight until the end of 2015. So I still stand by my Smash Bros. But shout out to Shovel Knight.
Yeah. 2015, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Phantom
Pain. Ever heard of that, Greg?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Heard of it?
Big fan.
Yeah.
I've never played those games. Are they good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's something you should check out.
Should I start with Metal Gear 1 on the NES? Or like, okay.
Sure. Why not?
Work my way forward. Somebody's done that, I think, right?
Oh yeah. A few
and then-
YouTube channels.
And then 2016, Overwatch. Again, just such a complete game. Love it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Check out my Patreon. No, I'm kidding.
I just left my job.
Fantastic. Cool. I want to give a couple shout outs to a bunch of the best friends out there who left some of their answers. I'm going to just name the ones that are different than some of our picks. Daniel Burke, 2012, giving a shout out to Hotline Miami.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good game.
And 2016 to Inside. Like, okay, it's up there, but It's not over.
A lot of people love Inside that much.
Inside's one of those ones that like I didn't appreciate until I started trying to make games, and I realized the stuff that they do in there that you completely ignore as a normal player. That is so hard. Like when your little guy walks up and he grabs those crates and he grabs them differently depending on how you're walking up, how fast you're walking up, the angle you come at, and all that stuff. It's incredible. It is a masterfully done game.
There you go. Last Geeks Dying has 2012 Silent Hill Downpour. So that's interesting.
Yeah, okay. That was a joke one. You just read a joke one.
I don't
No
think
one
it's
would really
I don't
pick
think
that.
it's a joke.
Baba Booey.
Because in 2013 he put Beyond Two Souls as it.
He's
So it's
joking.
like
He's joking.
this
He's
seems like a
joking around.
joke.
He's joking
but then 2014 Shovel Knight, 2015 Metal Gear Solid 5, and 2016 Life is Strange. So I
Everybody
don't
likes
think they're
different
jokes.
stuff, Greg. It doesn't
I
mean
don't
he's a
think
bad
it's jokes.
person.
Don't think they're jokes.
There's got to be some test here, right?
Kevin Delante giving a shout out to Bloodborne in 2015 and Dark Souls 3 in 2016. Curtis Dillon giving Life is Strange to 2015. Alex Van Aken, my dude, 2012 Halo 4. Child of Light in 2014. Rise of the Tomb Raider 2015.
Hell yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider. All right, go ahead. Get it on.
So the second one or the first one?
That's the second one.
Gage J. Semster giving it to Titanfall in 2014. Dying Light in 2015.
Dying Light was really good.
Is that the zombie thing? The
Yeah,
PC
that
zombie with
yeah,
the
yeah.
day-night cycle?
Yeah.
That game was scary as hell. I couldn't play the night part.
Exactly.
I just
yeah.
went and hid.
It's about to
was
be
like,
nightfall.
I'm
You're
not-
like,
I don't want to be here
"Fuck this."
anymore.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you, sir.
Browncoat 24 in 2012 gave it to FTL. That was up
great
there
game.
in IGN's like
Judgment Day.
Judgment
Remember
Day.
Judgment Day.
Yeah.
That was on my list.
And then Super Mario 3D World in 2014, or 13. Yeah, 2013, which makes sense. And then Hearthstone 2014.
Yeah.
Thought that would get a bit more love out there, but he's the only one I saw with it.
We have an
Rocket League
audience.
2015.
Hi, guys.
Aria.
The Hearthstone crowd not dealing too much and kind of funny.
I don't. That's too much meta for me.
Sure. Sure.
I'm not smart enough to play that game.
Yeah, that's the thing when I do it, and I would start and I was trying to get into it, and you just get beat by what's an easy move, and I'm like, why didn't I see that coming? I should have been able to. Fuck this. I'm
Because I didn't have all 3,000 cards memorized,
Exactly,
I guess.
exactly.
What a loser I am.
Aria Bonzerk gave it to Dragon Age Inquisition in 2014. And then Tasmania, Mass Effect 3, shout out to Andy Cortez on that one. And Ratchet and Clank in 2016. Which is, as much as I love that game, I don't know if I'd give it Game of the Year, especially because it is just a remake.
maybe it's his first Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, in that case.
My first Ratchet and Clank.
Was it?
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was okay. I liked it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It was a game that it was unexpected.
I love
You're just
that.
all PC, huh? You're just playing Carmen San Diego all the time.
Look, dude, I didn't have a console. I had an N64. I had a SNES. I had a NES. And then I went straight to like the GameCube, late PS2, Xbox, original Xbox
yeah.
One. And then I consoled up after there.
Okay.
So I missed most of the PS2 and all of the PS1.
Gotcha.
And had a Dreamcast for Samba de Amigo and like 2 other games.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Choo Choo Rocket. Crazy Taxi.
Taxi.
Choo Choo Rock.
Yeah,
No.
No?
I played Crazy Taxi came out on PC.
Jesus.
Did it really?
That's, that's the way you want to play it. Take me to Pizza Hut.
let me tell you.
Wazda, click, right. You're
There's a
going to
little
Pizza
thing that
Hut.
they invented. It's called a gamepad. It plugs. It's the same
Sure,
thing.
sure.
You plugged into the MIDI
You're
port
playing,
on your
you're
sound
playing
card.
with one of those jet flight sticks.
Look,
Take me to Pizza Hut.
my Thrustmaster FLCS 16. Did you have a throttle on your
Of
little
course.
thumb thing?
Oh, no. I thought we were talking about my
Yeah.
PC stupid thing.
Yeah.
You get Ace Combat or whatever. You're like, yeah, I'll invest in this stupid stick too.
Yeah,
I have all these sticks I never use.
Elite Dangerous came out. I got the goggles. I was like, shit, I'm getting a flight stick again. I got it. It's been in my garage for 2 years
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Such an asshole.
So let us know in the comments what your last 5 Game of the Years are from 2012 to 2016.
Kevin will go through on the Kind of Funny Games account and heart the ones he agrees with.
Ooh.
He wouldn't agree with any of them, so I'm sure it won't be too much work for him. Topic 3 of the show is Call of Duty World War II, officially announced now. We got release dates coming. We got all that stuff. Going back to World War II. First
Right.
time in a very long time.
Sledgehammer did Advanced Warfighter?
No. Well, it would have
Call it
been. Oh, shit. Here we go.
Or did they do...
I'm going to run to the bathroom while you
Okay.
talk about this. Greg.
Well, I want to
Okay.
sort it out without using my computer because I hate that. You know how you.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
fact-checking Ruins podcast. It's scientific facts.
So hold on, we can do this. We can do
Yeah.
this. We can do this.
Okay.
So Black Ops is Infinity Ward, correct? No, that's Treyarch. Shit.
Black Ops is Treyarch because it has all the gadgets and has zombies.
Exactly. And so we go back one. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was just put out by Infinity Ward, which is confusing.
Yeah. And then was Advanced...
So Sledgehammer was Ghosts.
Oh, Ghost was okay.
at the PlayStation 4 launch.
That was the
correct?
first next gen one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Advanced Warfighter was the year after Ghost, so that has to be. It has to no.
Was it Advanced Warfighter? That doesn't sound right.
It was Graw, but it was Cawdaw.
Is that, and that's the one with the they
That's
put
the
him
one
in
with the
they put
jump
him in the
packs. The exosuits.
Yeah. And Troy Baker is one of the guys, right? Kevin Spacey year.
That's the Kevin Spacey year.
Okay.
No, Kevin Spacey's because Kevin Spacey was the year after Ghost. Ghost.
Fuck, I like this game. I like this game. We're
Ghost-
trying to remember everything.
Yeah, this is the old man.
Wait a second.
You're from Missouri. Do you know Bob Hoskins?
Yeah. Oh, Mario? Yeah.
Yeah, down at the pizza. Yeah, I used to see him down at the pizzeria.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Got his sister June.
Oh,
she
yeah,
she
she's
runs that
great.
bakery.
Yeah, she used to go
her
with my-
daughter
with
just
my
got married.
cousin, Jimmy.
Advanced Warfighter doesn't sound right though, was it?
I thought it was Advanced Warfighter.
Oh, I don't want to look at it yet.
Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare. Warfighter was Graw. Ghost Recon Advanced
There you go.
Warfighter.
There you go.
Oh, Graw. Yeah.
Graw. That was
So we got it back to
amazing.
Ghosts. Was Sledgehammer's last
Yeah.
Call
Okay.
of Duty.
Ghost was okay.
Yeah,
It was
Brandon Routh
promising.
in it. Brandon Routh in it. Superman himself.
Yeah, but like the thing about Ghost was it was the first one on the new platform. They got to
Yeah.
bring all their stuff up to speed.
Of course.
It's not great, but it was serviceable.
Sure. What gets me excited about this one is the same thing that tricks me about every Call of Duty. Is they talk about having a focus on the single player story and they're going to really double down on it and make it a big deal. And when they start talking about this one, WW2, I don't like calling it World War II because they don't spell it out.
Yeah.
It's WW2. I'm just gonna say.
WW2 means World War II. It's
It's
a commonly held
I'll believe when I see
abbreviation.
it.
Okay.
All right. But I like I like what they're talking about here of like we're not what always turned me off about not Call of Duty games, World War II games was like just jumping around.
I think
like,
you mean WW2 games.
I fucking dislike you. Why did we invite you on? Jumping around all the different things, playing them all at the same time, but you know what I mean? Like never having a narrative to it. So the idea of what they're talking about with World War II here, WW2, Call of Duty WW2
Yeah.
officially, trademark Activision, is the fact that, hey, this isn't going to take you all around the battlefields. It's going to focus on these very specific things and this very specific narrative that only spans, I think, 2 years or whatever. We're going to stick with these characters, which starts getting me excited for like a Band of Brothers vibe. And they, again, have great actors involved with it. So it's like, okay, maybe this is going to be what I want. And I think I'm not alone in that. That's what it seemed like Battlefield did last year with Battlefield 1.
That's my thing is I loved Battlefield 1's single player last year. The little vignette stories, I thought that was such a great way to do the single player, especially because World War I was never really tackled in a game, especially not on that
Well, it was
level.
something like we didn't even learn about in history class, really. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, there was this big war, a bunch of people died, then there was the Spanish flu, and oh, by the way, Nazis.
Yeah,
it
Colin
led
told me
to the
about it
next
once.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
the prequel.
I loved last year's, and not all of the vignettes were as good as the rest of them. But
Yeah.
with this is I don't know, watching the story trailer. I mean, I've never been a Call of Duty guy, but watching the Infinite Warfare story trailers, I'm like, this seems interesting a bit. The Advanced Warfighter or
Sorry,
Advanced,
you.
Advanced Warfare.
With Kevin
trailer
Spacey.
With Kevin Spacey, I'm like, all right, cool. The narrative sounds interesting. This one, I'm like, this really just seems as generic as you can possibly get.
So,
But is it generic if it's going to actually achieve what we want? Hey, here is the Band of Brothers, this crew you're with. You're going to get to know them. You're going to get to care about them. A couple of them are going to die, of course. We're going to take you from point A to point B and tell you a story.
Yeah.
That's the one where, because like my whole thing with like the Kevin Spacey year, I was like, oh fuck, I'm on such a House of Cards roll right now. I was really looking forward to 9 Lives or whatever. That cat movie wasn't announced yet, but I was like, I like Kevin Spacey in this moment. I'm excited for this. And then I looked at reviews and I was like, oh, it didn't really deliver. He's in it for like 20 minutes or whatever. Not going to do it. And now, same thing can be said is that Infinite Warfare. Oh, hey, we got a couple guys from Naughty Dog. We're doing these different things. Like the story's written. I hosted the panel. I was like, I'm interested in this. And I played through the first 5 or 6 hours and it was like, all right, cool, but it's a little too sci-fi techie right now for me, and it's also way too, all right, Admiral, blah 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 blah, and I can't get down with that kind of military storytelling usually. But then what I liked about Band of Brothers so much watching it was like the interpersonal connection, and it wasn't about like, you know, even though there's moments of like you always salute the rank, not the person, and all that jazz. Like, you know.
So, like my problem, my worry is a little more meta, right? Like at the start of 2016, if you had said, hey, let's go back to World War II and shoot some Nazis in a multiplayer shooter again, I'd be like, yes, I have a lot of good memories of shooting Nazis in multiplayer shooters. In 2017, not to get too real, but like, I kind of don't want to expose myself to Nazis in a video game. And we got enough Nazis here. We're full. Like the Nazi store, I hope, like, I don't know that it's a good idea to empower the neo-Nazi movement that's happening in America with the ability to play Nazis in a video game right now. Like, I know it's a dumb thing to say. It sounds like a dumb thing to say, but like, it's bad enough when somebody's calling me a cocksucker on the internet. I don't want them. Oh, sorry. Is that
No, you're loud. I'm
Okay.
saying that well.
He's just being great.
I just you know, I don't want to have, you know, actual neo-Nazis yelling at me playing Nazis in a video game.
No.
And like I don't know. I hope they do something ridiculous, like only let you play the American side multiplayer and everybody just the other side just is skinned Nazi.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun.
Well, the ridiculous thing now is the whole the tweets going around, like Jason Schreier's tweet. Where do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Jason Schreier from Kotaku tweeted out this image of a tweet conversation about people bitching about like, oh, why are you including women in the game because that's not factually accurate to World War II or whatever. And then he screenshotted the same guy that was bitching about it, saying, "Oh, zombies confirmed for."
Being like
World
stoked
War
for it,
II.
right?
So funny.
All right, we fucked up. I got bad news, everybody.
It was
Infinity War
did Ghosts and Sledgehammer did Advanced Warfare.
Exactly.
Yeah, Advanced Warfare was. I thought that I remember thinking Sledgehammer came out of the gate with a big one.
Yeah,
with a good one.
yeah.
The last one I played was Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was a
They've been
long
going- they've been going a
time.
long
I mean,
time.
I
That
played
was-
a couple of it. I mean, like beat actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
played
okay.
through.
So
I jump in for every one, but I feel like I inevitably it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna go do something else.
Well, I love Modern Warfare 1 is amazing. It's still good. Like they re-released it last year. I played it again. I was like, this is a great game. The second one, they got kind of cartoony, right? And it felt real. Like the old school World War II Call of Duties felt real. And then Modern Warfare felt real, and they killed a character. You're like, holy
Yeah,
shit,
that was
they
awesome.
Killed
Yeah,
you. It's amazing. And then they kind of then next thing I know, I'm fighting in like a Pizza Hut and a Burger King in suburban America, and it's World War III. And that was maybe not the real I was looking for at the time. So I don't know. I mean, if this is like it went from kind of not celebrating but honoring the World War II to making this arcade shooter, and like that was where I kind of fell off.
Sure. At the very least, it's a smart move to differentiate all the studios, because that is the problem. As we sit here and we're like, wait, well, who is doing what and blah blah. If you can boil it down to, well, Black Ops is Treyarch, gadgets and all this stuff. Infinity Ward is moving on whatever they're going to move on, and how they want to, if they want to keep going to the future. And if you go Sledgehammer's is World War II or past wars or something like that, there's a vibe to it that it keeps it a little bit more easy to.
And I love the idea of I love the Band of Brothers, like taking like following through 2 or 3 games, this same group of people as they spend 4 years fighting in Europe.
And that's why I think there's something to be said if they deliver on that. And that was the whole thing where I think Advanced Warfare, again, it was, okay, they're bringing me with Kevin Spacey, but he's not really into it the way it is. If you're going to be able to deliver characters that I care about and go with it, great. And that's what, again, it's always interesting when you talk to the Call of Duty studios, Colin used to always harp on Raven, how much we loved Raven or whatever.
Raven's
with
great.
Singularity, and then for me, X-Men Origins Wolverine, the gameplay of it.
That was a great
and
game.
then Activision gets them as like, just, do Call of Duty, clean up and do that
Neversoft,
stuff.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Keep making map packs.
And it's the same thing when you talk about, Glenn and Condrey, who are over there making Sledgehammer Games a thing, where these are the guys who did Dead Space. Like, they love games. They're not out for a bro shooter. And that's why it's the hope every time of, like, you have these studios that you hope are pulling it together in a way that we're going to deliver on the promise of what these games could be. And because, like, it is that thing of, like, who loves World War II movies, Saving Private Ryan, shows like Band of Brothers. There's an audience there for them if they can get that into the game medium and make you care about it that way.
Well, and when they first rolled out, Medal of Honor was a thing. Some of those guys split off and started Infinity Ward and launched the first Call of Duty. They brought it to my office. I was at Maximum PC then. They brought it to the office, and they came in with the game guys, and they also had a guy who's like 70 years old and was a World War II expert. And he was like they still do that. They still bring an expert around, but like it felt like they were there for the right reasons rather than making a thing that kind of like it celebrated violence in a good way instead of I don't know. I'm not explaining myself well, but this feels a little bit different, and at least what I've seen so far. So I don't know. We'll see.
Going back to what you're talking about with the movies and stuff, it's just, to me, it seems like such an old era. Like we don't necessarily need to go back to it, because I associate the PS2 and original Xbox generation with World War II so much, where it's like, I don't think that these games can elicit the memories I have of those games. Like, I'm sure that if I were to go back now, they wouldn't.
Oh, sure,
play
they're
good
garbage.
at all.
Yeah, they look
But I
terrible.
remember them being so epic, and
Yeah.
it just like the Normandy Beach is just like, that is one of those iconic video game moments. I think specifically, I'm talking about Medal of Honor. But I remember, my friend Curran was so into Call of Duty 1 on PC. And like, I remember seeing him play it, and I was just like, all right. And then all of a sudden, like, a couple of years passed, and Call of Duty 2 was a launch title on Xbox 360, which is the only reason we even really gave it a shot, because there wasn't much going on besides King Kong.
Easy achievement.
And then eventually 3 and whatever. But once it got to Modern Warfare, that's when everything changed. And it was like, that was the, all right, new era. We're moving past World War II.
Right.
Everyone's done this too much. Like, it's totally overdone. There's nothing new to be seen there.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it is just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel of doing it again.
Don't get me wrong. On paper, I was with you when it was, remember, there's the next Call of Duty. Going back. I'm like, ugh, like, do we need to? But I think the argument can be made that enough times passed, that it has been generations. And it is the fact of when I think back to, Poe was just in town for my wedding, right? My best friend growing up. And he made the comment, he was just like, I made some comment about being frozen by indecision. And he goes, shoot the fucking gun. And that is a callback to high school when I was playing Medal of Honor, sniping, and like, my guys were both getting attacked by separate people. And rather than just choose one, I just sat in the middle. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, shoot the fucking gun. But
I reviewed Medal of Honor 1, Greg.
Sorry, bro. I was in my basement. Probably in high school, maybe in junior high still. But it was that thing of like, I remember the gameplay of it in those like, water cool moments or whatever you want to talk about. And I remember the first, I guess I don't remember, but I remember what was the one where we got to do Pearl Harbor, where it was like
Medal of Honor Pacific Assault.
Exactly. And I remember that being a big deal. And like, okay, cool. I'm not excited for nothing about the trailer excites me about like, the Battle of the Bulge, like they're talking about. I don't care about the battle. I care about, you brought in that actor I like, and you want to tell a cool story. And if they're actually doing that, and of course the problem is always that it's Activision. It's like, well, did they give them enough time? Did they rush them through everything? Did they actually care? But like, that's what I'd want. And hopefully that gets away from where, and these are all Greg Miller problems, not the world's problems. But like Infinite Warfare was of like, oh, cool. I like these people. I like the people creating the game. Oh, we're up in space and this is weird and it's all Admiral this and Admiral that and Jackals. And I'm like, okay, like.
Well, I mean, for me, playing like Medal of Honor, first PC Medal of Honor, playing Call of Duty 1, like those gave me an appreciation. Those made me go out and seek out more. I went and read about World War II because of those books. I read Band of Brothers. I read a bunch of oh God, what's the guy's name who wrote all those
comic books?
Yeah, comic books.
George Railroad Martin.
No. The oral history guy who wrote Band of Brothers and who wrote the Lewis and Clark book, Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose.
God, we need Colin more than ever.
Yeah. So anyway, you go out and you get those stories, and like you can read the book, but then getting off of a barge in Stalingrad and being chained to an NPC, and then handing you an extra clip and handing the NPC a gun, and you having to wait until that person that you're tied to is shot to grab the gun from them because they only have one gun for every other soldier, and this was what they thought was a good way to handle this. Like, it gives you a real appreciate. Like it puts you in a situation where you can experience something that would otherwise be impossible to experience, which is the neat thing about going back and visiting historical locations again.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, they couldn't sell me on this if they tried, but I'm not the audience.
But now, but for Battlefield 1, were you excited for that when you heard and saw that originally?
See, my thing was for Battlefield 1, from the moment I saw the story trailer, I'm like, I'm in.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like, there's that story trailer, I was like, they edited that trailer so well that I'm like, I'm sold by the hype of this. Like, this looks interesting. It looks super varied in a way that looks like it'll make sense. And going into once I started playing it and once I started hearing what everyone else was saying, where they're like, oh, these vignettes are not that long. You can get through them. They each tell their own self-contained story. I'm like, oh, you are speaking to me. Like, this sounds great.
I wish there were more of those rather than just like one per kind of area when I was playing Battlefield 1.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it felt like if I was just playing that for single player, it was a little short.
See, it's enough for me. I don't know. I just like, I'm not the multiplayer shooter guy. So it's like, for me, I'm more of a Battlefront guy. I like a little more top level. I love Star Wars. So it's like, this is just cool and fun. And the idea that Battlefront 2 is going to have single player, and like, I am so sold based on this trailer. That's more up my alley. But yeah, Battlefield 1 did win me over in a way that watching the World War II trailer, I was like, oh, like, it not only didn't win me over, I'm like, no, definitely not.
Push you away. Okay, interesting. What if I tell you there's pigeons in it?
Pigeons? Oh, the pigeons were a big sell for me for that.
Can you send messages to pigeons?
I mean, this is World War II, so they must have had. Like, you were around at the time, right?
Yeah,
they had
totally
the cell
there.
phones that like connected to the giant
You
things.
crank the thing, and then you have a backpack, and the guy gets shot in the backpack, and your radio doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You
And
just
the bullet
designed a
comes out of
level.
the front of
You
his
just
head.
designed a level.
Look, I can't stop making games. I don't even make games. I just make shows about games.
Are you guys hyped though? World War II, you think you're gonna play it?
I mean, I'll play it, but I'm not.
I think
I play everything though. I'm a bad person.
I feel like it'll be the same thing for me as usual. Where Call of Duty's here, and I'll pop it in, and I'll start the campaign, and I'm hoping though it'll have a hook that grabs me and keeps me in.
You know what I really want? I just want a game that's headquarters headquarters mode on that little tiny map with the crates from Modern Warfare 1. I just want to play that. That's all the Call of Duty I need. I should load that up for like every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Get like 16 people in there, have a grenade spam
good
frenzy.
time, call it a day.
And just call it.
Call of Duty
there you
Pentagon.
go.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Final topic of the day, as always, brought to you by you. You can go to kindoffunny.com/gamescast topic and leave your topic for us to answer, just like all these beautiful people did. This comes from Soft Dude.
Oh, I thought it was from software. I was leaving a question.
Nope, but it's
about Chrome
about
Hounds.
it. Listening back to your E3 predictions, the early ones, not the final ones, which we will be doing after Greg comes back from Judges Week.
And then let me tell you, those predictions are going to be pretty spot on.
Hold on. That seems.
No, we do a thing.
just-
Now, we get in trouble where we never make a prediction if we actually know the answer.
Sure.
But then it gets really interesting when we've been talking about predictions for a long time, and then we go quiet for like 3 weeks, and like,
Yeah.
why aren't you talking about Spider-Man anymore? I'm like, don't know. Interesting.
Wow, what a coincidence.
I was kind of sad none of you mentioned the possibility of a Bloodborne sequel. What do you think?
Did we really not?
We didn't. Bloodborne 2
Oh.
at
You think that's gonna be-
PlayStation E3 press conference,
Okay.
which I don't know if you saw
Bloodborne
today, announced for the same time and spot that it always is.
Yep.
Monday night.
So is
6
it
PM.
before it's before Microsoft
No, it's
again?
now.
It's
This is
after.
the last one. Well, this is the last one on Monday.
Monday's night's finale
Yeah.
before Nintendo does
Nintendo
something.
probably
maybe
on
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
More
They said no
Amiibos?
press conference, so it's probably going to be direct followed
With
by
puppets.
Treehouse thing. We ain't getting no puppets. Damn it, no puppets, Greg. Amiibos for sure. Many.
I
Amiibos.
want some arms amiibos.
Dry bones.
Oh, we're getting arms Amiibos.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. No.
Maybe each arm will be its own amiibo. So you get like a
my
right
God.
amiibo, a right arm amiibo, a left arm amiibo.
What'd you hit me up, Greg?
No, I got to check embargoes before I.
Before you say some stuff. Anyway, Bloodborne 2, I think, is a surefire bet. Like, when you look at PlayStation's lineup and what they did at E3 the past couple of years, they have just knocked it out of the park. And I know that those guys want to outdo themselves, even if they can't.
When did the last one come out? It's only 2 years, right? Or is it 2014.
15.
So
it was 2015.
If it's a
'cause we
3-year
were
cycle, they're
kinda
on the
funny.
window, right?
It makes sense. And when you look at what games they announced 2 years ago, what games they announced last year, and the ones that have already come out, the ones that we know their release dates are coming soon, like Horizon's out now, which means that the next wave is going to start coming. And we know that we have the God of War to look at. We have Detroit. We have Last of Us Part 2. We have Death Stranding in the far. So it's like, all right, cool. We need new announcements of new things we don't know about. And I think Bloodborne 2 is the easy answer.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. What do you think, Greg?
I'm trying to see what I can say about an embargo. So until I get an answer, I have nothing to say. It wasn't about Bloodborne.
Okay, cool.
I'm surprised because I thought we would have said that. Yeah, it seems like if there's going to be a Bloodborne, or a Bloodborne 2, I think there'd be a Bloodborne announcement at the PlayStation conference because that'll fucking bring the house down.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to see a Souls game that's a science fiction game instead of like a gritty past. Right?
That'd be
Like
really
a
cool.
science fiction world that's all broken down and ruined.
Yeah,
be
that was
rad.
my thing. I mean, again, being just Greg Miller problems of
Yeah.
like Dark Souls being in a place I don't really care about, and Bloodborne being a bit further, like being that gothic-y thing. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I think steampunk gothic, and I think Greg Miller.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I am.
exactly.
Right? Pirate hats and four corner.
Yeah, weird glasses with like cranks on
Exactly.
them.
Yeah,
and
really ugly
funny
characters,
hats.
ugly ass characters.
Yeah,
made in
dirty
that game.
faces everywhere. You love the dirty
Galvatron.
faces.
Oh, I love a good chimney
Yeah.
sweep. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Big Nose wants to know, Will, what games are you playing, and what do you think of the Nintendo Switch?
What an amazing coincidence. I am playing. I've been playing Mario Kart 8. I about 3 weeks ago I said, no, I'm not going to buy this because I bought it on the Wii U. I played dozens of hours. Like my wife and I had
Yeah.
some of the biggest fights of our relationship over Mario Kart 8. So
Yeah.
that was good.
Good. Oh yeah. Way to test the marriage.
And then I was like, no, I'm not going to buy it. And then I talked to Gary and I talked to a bunch of other people this weekend, and they pulled out their Switches at brunch and they fucking sat and played Mario
Yes,
at
it's
brunch.
so good. It's a new
and I was
world.
just like, God damn it. And then I spent $60 and I have Mario Kart 8, and it's really, really
It's
good.
so fucking good.
And that Tumbleseed, Tumbleseed, like I love Spelunky.
Yeah.
I love roguelikes. It's, if you haven't played it, it's basically like a kid's ball maze where you have like the holes on a table, and you have to kind of balance the seed up between a bar by rocking it up.
Important to
this
say,
world.
not the motion controls.
It's not motion controls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody asks that. When I sticks.
I played it only at the Nindy event at GDC, and when I walked in, I saw it, I was like, oh no way, and they're like, no, use the sticks. I'm like,
Use the
oh, all
sticks.
right, cool, I'm in.
Well, and the other thing about it is it has the best HD rumble. I haven't played 1-2 Switch because it's not my thing. But it has the best HD rumble of anything I've played.
Really?
To date. Like when the seeds roll on this stick back and forth across this thing, and the different you can use different seeds You plant different seeds as you go, and some of them like let you reset your spawn point. Some of them give you more health. Some of them collect currency, yada yada. They all roll differently, and you feel it on the Joy-Cons. And it's the dumbest thing, but it feels so good. And the controls are super tight. It's the controls on the Switch especially. I haven't played the PC version yet, but are really, really, really like precise and well done. It's like such a finesse game.
And correct me if I'm wrong. It was doing. If I'm thinking of the when I got the demo. I mean, I know I'm thinking of the right game, but it gives you your progress through helps you the next time. No, right? Don't you fall and then or does it start from scratch every time? Because you have to get. You get the gems to get the thing.
Yeah, so you get the gems. The gems and the hearts reset each time you die.
Okay.
There are some quest things that you can do. Similar to Spelunky. You know, you get to the end of the first level in Spelunky and you bring the guy a bomb and you bring him in some other stuff. Eventually you have a shortcut that takes you to the start of the second world.
Gotcha.
You can do stuff like that.
Gotcha.
It's super tight. And then PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is fucking awesome if you guys haven't played that.
What is this?
Oh my God. Have you seen Battle Royale?
Yeah.
The Japanese movie about the kids that get put on the island and they have to all murder each other one at a time. Yeah, it's like Hunger Games, but good.
Yeah.
Not that I mean Hunger Games. Okay,
not to hate on Hunger Games, but Battle Royale.
You both just did.
Battle Royale.
Like, look,
okay, cool.
I like Hunger Games. Jennifer Lawrence is an amazing actress. It's great. It's terrific. Battle Royale is much better.
Fantastic.
Like the difference. So this you start 100 people. It's a PC game. 100 people start on an island. There's a giant cargo plane. You load everybody into the cargo plane with nothing, just the clothes on your back, no weapons, no spoon, nothing. They fly you over this big ass like Arma size island, and then you choose where you're going to jump out, and you can kind of parachute over to places on either side of the airplane's track through the island. Then you have to scrounge through houses, buildings, whatever you find, collect guns, armor, more backpacks, grenades, all sorts of other kind of accoutrements of death. And then you have to murder everybody else on the island.
Hell yeah.
And it's a big giant island, not like Breath of the Wild big, but a big island. And there's a series of circles. So there's a white circle that you have to be in basically all the time that the white circle's live. And if you're outside of it, then you take damage slowly. So they use that circle to kind of concentrate the action of the game. So the matches take like 20, 30. Well, I mean, if you're bad, matches take like 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Yeah, if you're good, then they'll go like 20 minutes. And you get these ridiculous moments. Like you parachute down, you see another guy parachute down right next to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, neither of you have a gun. And you're just sitting there beating the shit out of each other until one of you's dead. And then you have to go find health and guns and armor and all this stuff.
What's
King of the Kill, right? For
H1Z1.
H1Z1.
Yeah. So PlayerUnknown is the guy's name who made there was an article in New York Mag today about him, but he made mods for H1Z1 and I think Arma that were the same kind of mechanic. They credited him as the inventor of the Battle Royale game.
Gotcha.
And it also is squad based too. So you can do like if you matchmake as a single player, you can matchmake into 1 versus 100 basically, where nobody teams up and it's just every man for himself. That's really tense and awful. But you can do duos or up to 4-player squads as well. And when you do that, then you parachute in with your guys all in one spot. You armor up, and then you find a good place to hide out in what you think is going to end up being the center of the map at the end. And like everybody watches one corner of the building, and you're all on voice, and it
sounds
and awesome.
We got to do a Let's Play on this.
Is it PC only?
Of course,
it's
PC
only right
only.
now. Hey guys,
we'll figure it out.
I run a virtual reality company. I have 3 portable PCs that I can bring over here anytime you would like. We have to have monitors to plug them in. You got to get some capture business.
Sure, yeah, of course. Well, Kevin says that makes it
we're good.
Well, Kevin's not
When
as
he's-
supposed, but
when
yeah.
he's here.
Yeah, but it is.
Is it worth it? It's good. We should do
Oh
it.
God, it's so good. It's only like $30 too. There's 2 million people. Like,
Is it better than, or is it just so similar to H1Z1
So-
King of the Kill? And I'm saying it was King of the Kill, right? They broke it into 2. H1Z1 King of the Kill and...
So I never played those games because my understanding of Arma is like to have a fun Arma game, you have to spend like 6 hours.
Sure.
I have a kid. I can't spend
no.
6 hours or it's not in my life.
Yeah.
So when somebody told me that I could play this in like 20 minutes with 4 friends, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm totally
cool.
gonna do that. That's great.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I've
killed-
so sold.
If you have a 1-to-1 kill death ratio at the end of like 10 games, you've done really well.
Okay.
So
You should come over and play with us then.
I'll
yeah.
totally come over and play anytime.
Next question comes from Parker B. Good day, Kind of Funny crew. Let me
day.
cut to the chase.
day. Hello.
I, like many, was unable to get my hands on the Nintendo Switch on launch. With
Because you're a
limited,
non-believer. That's the thing now I don't like. Well, I can't find it. Well, it's like you should have fucking read the tea leaves. We all saw it. We all thought it looked cool. We bought it.
with the limited variety of games and no bundles just yet, what should consumers like myself do? Should we wait until bundles or models with a larger memory come out to save a little money since we missed the early adopter window? When do you think we'll start seeing a variety of models and bundles? Or do you think it'll be a long time? I have a new job starting in the fall that requires a lot of travel, and I'd love it for the plane rides. I'll be playing Horizon and whooping some Dino Robot ass while awaiting your response. You guys are most dope. Thanks.
You're pretty dope too.
I appreciate that.
Should have bought it early.
I don't think you should wait for one with more memory. Memory is so cheap.
Those cards, cards are like $30 for
the micro SD. And $30 will get you a lot.
Yeah.
Like you can find some that are like $10.
Kevin, did we ever thank the guy who sent in the memory cards?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so apparently if Amazon will fuck up sometimes, you order one memory card and they'll send you 5, and then you send the other 4 to your friends. Are kind of funny. And then we all have Switch
That's
memory
awesome.
cards now. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you remember the guy's name?
Chester.
Chester. Thank
Shout
you,
out to
Chester.
Chester. Thank you very much. But no, those cards are so damn cheap, and I think that they're only going to get cheaper. So that's not a worry for me. In terms of bundles, yeah, you could totally wait. There will be bundles. I would predict there's going to be a bundle, at least a bundle, by the end of the year. Like when it's going into Black Friday, there'll be a Black Friday bundle. There'll probably be a holidays bundle. I assume Mario Kart will come with it at some point.
It seemed like they held a bunch of it seems like the retailers were holding units
For
the
Mario
Kart
Kart
release, and now those are gone.
And that seems to be the strategy where I imagine they're going to do that again for ARMS and for Splatoon and whatever else they got.
I'm really pleased with I kind of didn't expect to like that hardware, and I sat right before it shipped. I told you this before the show, and kind of was like, I'm going to cancel my Amazon pre-order because I'm just going to get Breath of the Wild on Wii U, and that'll be good enough. And I'll wait, and this fall when Mario comes out, I'll get a Switch.
And then you said,
and
no,
then
keeping
I forgot to do it, and it shipped, and I was like, well, I'd have to return it. I might as well just open it and play anyway. It was a good choice.
I'm so blown away by how much I love it. Because I got it and I was, it's with me all the time.
Yeah.
I got it and I was going to be like, all right, cool. I'll play Zelda and I'll play some kart and blah, blah, and I'm like, that's all I play. You know what I mean? Because granted, we travel so much, it's just easier to do. But then I play Persona when I get home. But like right now, in the middle of a move, in the middle of all this traveling, all this other stuff, it's like, yep.
Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I wish I could play Persona on something like that.
100%.
It wasn't a Vita.
And
If I had a nickel.
This is the problem I had when like they announced it, and then when I got like, was when it was like, nope, it's still gonna be Nintendo, where they're making Nintendo games and indie stuff will be on it, and no, you can't port third-party stuff. Because my whole thing had been like, how rad would it have been? And this is going backwards, but when they were talking about dates, they put it out next to Mass Effect, and you can play Mass Effect on it. And my thought process was it would be a game changer, even though I love trophies, of being able to take open world RPGs with me anywhere, giant games with me anywhere, and play them. Now, granted, Mass Effect wasn't,
it turns out.
Maybe Mass Effect
game
will
we
happen. But I was thinking about this morning when I was thinking back to the last topic, the Game of the Year one, and people were saying Persona 4 Golden. Is there a chance at a Persona 5 Golden or whatever, Red? I guess it's a red thing, right?
I mean, I would imagine so. I don't know what, if any, the deal is with Atlas and PlayStation for Persona 5 exclusivity window or forever or anything like that, but I could easily see that happening. And granted, it's down-resing and this, that, and the other, but I
mean, the PS3 version, though.
Yeah. What? Oh, right, the PS3 version. Yeah. Even there, I think you have to do, there's going to be concessions made, but I think they'd be worthy. They'd be awesome. Because that's the whole thing about Persona 4 Golden is like, it was good looking, but it wasn't the best looking game on the market, and nobody gave a shit. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play that kind of game for I play it for story and weird shit.
Honestly, I think you're more than likely going to get something like Persona Q, where they do something for the Switch that is the Switch. Whatever, it's more Persona. Fuck you. Don't do that. Don't do that goddamn single player dungeon crawling crap and like just go. Yeah.
Okay.
But I could see that happening because that is like you talk about. Man, who's the Switch's audience? It's like, oh, anybody who plays Atlas games. So yeah, why not?
But like my wife, I came out the other night after playing some Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And my wife was playing Mario Kart on the couch. She never plays games if I'm not like, hey, you want to play some Mario? I'm always the instigator. Yeah. And just seeing her pick up the Switch and play it because it was there and it was easy. It was super cool.
Exactly.
Final question from Joey B.
Joey B!
How often do you guys read video game websites and forums?
Great question.
I never read forums anymore. I would go to Reddit sometimes.
Yeah, it was Reddit count. Yeah,
Reddit's a forum, right? It's the forum. All the forums on the internet became Reddit or NeoGAF.
Yeah,
or maybe something awful, I guess.
Yeah, maybe something.
Shout out
awful.
to Low Tax.
Yeah. No, I mean we check the sites every day, but that's part of the morning show. That's when I'm usually doing it, and then it's still that It was funny when we were at IGN. People we were always not worried, but like cognizant of that IGN.com, the main page traffic was down and it was social sharing. And now that's how it is for me with Waypoint. It is with IGN where it's like, oh, Patrick wrote something interesting and quote tweeted his link on the Waypoint and explains why I should read it. And I click it. I'm like, oh, it was a great read. Yeah. But I've never gone to waypoint.com to read anything.
Yeah, the Twitter filters up the best shit.
Yeah.
I live odd forums and websites. I don't think I'll ever stop that. I think that's one of those things that the generation that comes after me is gonna like totally only be on the social stuff.
Yeah.
But I am so embedded in the lifestyle of it's just part of my routine to go on NeoGAF anytime I have a free moment, just to see if something new happened. And like, yeah, there's the Twitter account for the new thread or whatever, but it's like, there's just something about just like looking through and seeing that stuff and going through, like I go to IGN every day, Kotaku every day, and just like scrolling through and seeing what they're talking about. Like, it's not even just like a business thing where I'm looking to like know what everyone else is doing, which that feeds into it as well. But it's also like, I still genuinely enjoy the content and I like reading it. And as much of a video guy as I am, I read and at least just kind of glance at things a lot more than I watch videos, but I love the shit.
I mean, the thing that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years is that it used to be that like stuff started on like Chan boards and Something Awful and all the kind of deep dark message boards of the internet, and then filtered up over a period of weeks until my mom saw like somebody get rickrolled on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and was like, started sending me rickroll links.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then that took like a year probably. And now it's like a 3-day window from when something pops up on Reddit, because all of the producers at the Today Show and at late night and all the places that people watch mainstream media all are watching the same. They all know, hey, it all comes from Reddit now.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the weird thing is when when you know, my Reddit story starts the first time when Scott Bromley back in the day was like, hey, did you know your Dead Space 2 review's been on the front page of Reddit forever? I'm like, or for 2 days. I'm like, no, that's awesome. What's Reddit? And then I went there, just everybody being mean to me. I was like, oh, fuck. And I didn't even know what this was. And now I'm on Reddit 3 times a day because it's the commute to work, it's the commute home from work, and then a final check-in and just looking through. And it's weird how it is that how I've subscribed to so many subreddits that it's like, oh, well, here's a what the fuck thing, and here's a funny GIF, and then here's the video game news, and here's some awesome Witcher 3 cosplay because I'm still subscribed to that for some reason. Here's what's happening in Persona, and here's Mario Kart strategies, and it's just like, that's where I find it all.
Do you subscribe to the subreddits for individual games?
I do.
I was gonna say that's like once I realized I should be doing that, like Overwatch, Destiny, all those kind of living games, Hitman.
Yep.
Like those subreddits tell me when I need to be paying attention to a game that I might not otherwise load up and check out.
Yeah,
great.
that was the thing of like that's like now the highest compliment I think like I can play a game of like, I liked you so much, I'm gonna follow your subreddit. Like I still follow Watch Dogs 2 subreddit. I'm just like, what's happening? Just let me know and show me some of your DedSec cosplay.
I love Reddit too, but my issue with it is I haven't found a subreddit for like video games that works for me, like for an overall thing, like in the same way that I go to NeoGAF for news and stuff. Is there an equivalent?
There's games, but
they're too big. Games is like, it's like too much of it's just memes. And
well, you can go through like, I'm on the PlayStation 4 one, the PlayStation Vita one, and those are basically our PS I Love You fans of like, they're so into it, they're talking about very specific things about that stuff.
Interesting. I should probably look up the Switch one.
And the individual game ones are really good. Like if you
Mario Kart's awesome.
Smash Bros. I used to look at all the time.
Yeah, the Zelda one, the Breath of the Wild one was really useful, but a little spoilery, so you kind of got to be careful. But like especially like when I was deep into Hitman last year, like that was great because it'd be like, hey, there's a new contract coming up. There's new targets. What are those? The ones that go away?
High value targets.
Gary Busey. Yeah, the things that you have like 2 days or a week or whatever to kill, and you get one shot at. Like that stuff is really good and super useful. Overwatch is the same way. So
there you go. Stuff. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This has been really fun, guys.
Been fun. Where can people find you and support you and do all that stuff?
I'm on the Twitters at Will Smith, and if you want to know more about the Foo Show or watch the Foo Show yourself, if you have a VR headset, or if you don't have a VR headset, you can do that by just using a gamepad and a normal PC. You can find us on Steam. Just search for the Foo Show, FOOSHOW. And I talk to people who make games. So I talk to people who make games while we're inside their actual games. You load it up, you put the headset on, you're standing in the watchtower from Firewatch talking to Jake and Sean from Campo Santo with me. And you can pick stuff up, you can look at it, they tell stories about how the game's made. I've done an episode with Brendan Chung of Quadrado Cowboy. And then also, the next one that's coming up, hopefully by the time you guys, probably not by the time this airs, but within the next week or so, I'm talking to a biophysical chemist who makes nanomachines out of DNA. Nanomachines.
Yeah.
It's not like Metal Gear, and so easy to believe. But we go all the way down. So like we start out in his lab, and then we chunk down into like some of his equipment, and then we chunk down again into like a microscopic scale. We can see cells like E. coli swimming around, and then we chunk down one more time until we see the DNA coming out of the E. coli. It's really cool. So you might learn something. It's dangerous.
We'll get hyped. Get in there. Until next time, I love you.
Fox, die.
Hopefully you enjoyed that episode of the Kind of Funny Games cast. If you did, click there to subscribe to Kind of Funny Games. Click there to subscribe to Kind of Funny for non-game content. Click here to support us on Patreon. And this part's not sponsored, Cherries Berries. Get out there.